Ba, 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 ba. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another all-new X's for Show. I'm Nico, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nico Action. That's NicoAction.
And I'm TK. You can find me online at xnateXgrayX.
Which leaves me with Kevo, and you can find me at Kevo Really. That's KevoReally. And yeah, go.
Oh, and we are so excited to be here. We are talking about our favorite thing to talk about over on our partner show, MCU. And we've been doing a little bit of two shows for a really long time. And we just really hit the crescendo point where it makes sense to just do, this fusion of our two great loves, HTML and X's for Show. And so now here we are on our new fusion platform. And we are here to talk about the MCU.
I gotta tell you, I am pretty psyched because since I've been on the show and really since we have done the live streaming thing, we have talked a lot of comics and I absolutely love that. But I love that we've been branching out. But more important than that, I love hearing Kevo's thoughts. And though I have a lot of enthusiasm for the MCU, I'm a big comics guy, and getting to sort of take a little bit of a back seat as a commentator to somebody who I love and respect so much, who knows a lot about the stuff that I know, but from a different angle, to be getting to talk about all this stuff from an angle that's kind of more yours as far as this is all concerned, is I'm super excited about.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. I similarly am really excited to have a comic voice coming in. Thank you, Tori. Tori says yes, more Kevo thoughts.
Always more Kevo thoughts. We just need them.
I'm excited for this fusion and this crossover and this merging of the comic stuff that we do with the MCU stuff because Nico really needs more backup in terms of the translation of what exactly is translating well from the comics, what is not. Just sort of all of the history and all of that unique and different perspective is always appreciated. And so I am really excited. So much has been going on with the MCU since the last time we covered it on HTML. We haven't really covered it much since Phase 3 ended. We did a little bit on the YouTube channel a while back. We covered some of the television stuff at the start of Disney Plus, but overall we've left it really untouched. And from what it was announced to what we've gotten twice now, there have been so many changes, and so this is a really chaotic but fun and unique time for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And as a guy who has been a part of this project, both sides of it since day one, and it's kind of like a unique distinction that I get to say that I've straddled both sides of this, magical sphere that we've been running. One of the things that's really interesting is I was thinking about how many resets, how many restarts we've had on HTML as a result of the disruption that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe's unpredictability. And I was like, ooh, I know, I'll do a drinking game where I take a drink every time we talk about having to adjust a film. And then I realized I would die of alcohol poisoning.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where we, as a audience, as a people, had some preconceived notions about adjustments, reshoots, directors leaving, and the MCU really ushered in a new era in which we just kind of we always should have not cared about that and just done final product. There are some solid, it's not the best when there are delays like that, or when a director leaves, or when you get that news, when you hear about extensive reshoots, yeah, the first thing you might think is it's probably not the best. But the MCU time and again has surprised us with things that have changed that would signal death for any other film, but are result in a fantastic product for them, and stuff that we don't hear a single bad word about production and it's kind of a dud. So, for me, it really has become a go in with no expectations, not low expectations, not, I am sure this is going to be bad, but I'm open to anything, and I'm always ready to be surprised.
Well, I can't think of any better thing to do than to jump right in by taking a look at the origins of the MCU. And by the origins of the MCU, I of course mean Phase 1, because when you're talking about the Declaration of Independence, nobody cares about the Articles of the Confederation. So we're not talking about Blade, we're not talking about X-Men, we're not talking about Spider-Man. No. Those
No
things,
offense to them.
but I said those things are all terrific, and we've actually talked extensively about a few of them, and you are more than welcome to go check out that in the HTML back catalog. That's gonna get plugged just so hard this episode. We probably could have called this the HTML background jukeboxicle, but that made it sound like a rehashing, and I think well, she's going to be on in a minute, but I think Tori would have some things to say to me, all of a sudden being okay with jukebox musicals after the hell I've given her and the entire industry as a whole. Which, by the way, so long, Phantom. It's been good seeing you. I don't know how that's not what we're covering tonight. That should have been it. It should have been Goodbye, Phantom. But instead, I had the ballsy move to move Drag Race from tonight to last night so Jonah could join. So Drag Race moved to last night, this moved to tonight, and Phantom, bye-bye. Can't wait to talk to Tori about that.
Ate the cat that ate the rat that destroyed the house that Frasier
built. Yeah, it's definitely the Frasier version every time. So Phase 1, Phase 2. I remember being on my college program with this incredible creature all the way down at the bottom, Kevo. We worked in the Walt Disney World company together on the Walt Disney World College program. And I remember, excuse me, I'm so embarrassed. We missed the start of the MCU a little bit by virtue of being at the Disney College program for the start of it. And then we actually left right before Iron Man 2 came out for our alumnus program.
We saw it though.
Yeah.
I remember we saw it.
And then I went, I remember going to see Iron Man with my dad, and I remember thinking this could be a thing. This might not just be me in my bedroom anymore. This really could be a thing that is a thing that people believe in.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. Yeah. I don't really anymore remember where I was right at the beginning. I'm almost certain, although I was not living there at the time, that I saw Iron Man 1 in New York, because I remember being at the Union Square Lowe's or Regal or whichever one it is. But man, the early days really just are kind of a blur, because I don't think then, I mean, I know then, I just didn't think this was a thing. I thought, oh, okay, an Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
And even with the post-credit sequence, I was like, okay, but they've all had little references, and that doesn't mean anything. And it really took me a while to have some faith and have some hope.
Because this was only 1 year after the summer of Spider-Man 3 and Fantastic Four 2. So Iron Man 1 didn't feel like the start of anything necessarily. We were used to these minor attempts at superhero franchises. And I remember, even now, I feel like a lot of people who haven't seen Ed Norton Hulk don't even know about the Tony Stark cutscene in the credits there. So even that connection with these movies that came out a month apart, you can see there. it you didn't want to put too much stock in it. You didn't want to give it too much hope. It really wasn't until Iron Man 2, and it was after the Disney purchase, and it was that scene at the end where it was Thor, and I remember Nico flipping out in the theater over Thor, and I remember being like, who the hell would care about this guy? What is that movie even going to be? I've never heard of this superhero.
I can
This
probably
all
remember the
sounds.
taste of my excitement in my throat. Like I can remember.
It was
like,
right before we graduated and right before we went on our second college room. It was like right at the start, and so we were like entering our peak Disney as well. So I was also very aware, Disney's investing in this. That is a choice. And when they make investments, And, maybe it will only see its way through to the Avengers movie. But I figured it was going to at least make it that far. No idea that we would be still talking about this 13 years later. And 15 years after the whole start. I hadn't seen the first two movies in theaters. He showed them to me on Blu-ray. It was tough.
And that's actually part of it that I think is such a missed opportunity in discussion that, we talk about how like Marvel movies that become formulaic, which, it's so funny. If anybody's actually wondering what that's an impression of, that's an impression of Tori's impression of old white men.
Okay.
Because Tori goes like this when she talks like that. This just cracks me. This is actually what
it's a little more moxie. But yeah, no, she goes very 1930s with it.
Yeah, I love it. So the movies had to become formulaic. And the reason they had to become formulaic is a legend isn't a legend until it ends. And you can't be a trope until you've been played out 1,000 times. So we talk a little bit about this era of like these hour and 26-minute movies, hour and 24-minute movies. And it's interesting that Hulk and Thor, the movies that I think you can say have the most reliance on punch and flex, they are the two shorter movies by a bit. And, Avengers, of course, being a pull together of so many things, it makes sense that boy is a little bit longer. But, I think about this period in Avengers and this period in Marvel filmmaking, and I am struck by the realization that it is a certain honesty that they knew that if they didn't ingrain a format, a formula, if you didn't walk away from Marvel Phase 1 saying, oh, that's a Marvel movie, when you saw it, they couldn't. Like, you don't accept that something is just a force until you acknowledge that it is literally everywhere and you're tired of it.
You have to brandify.
And that was actually something I was talking about with TK earlier today. I was saying that, like, I can really think of where Robert Downey Jr. was on every screen in the world for a while. And I can think of the fact that Scarlett Johansson has had no choice but to play every African-American tree ever. And, and there actually is a truth to the women of the Marvel universe have no choice but to take more branding deals because women are paid at such a lesser extent than men are. The men that make these movies make a whole lot more money for the exact same amount of time. But so that leaves the women who are not getting offered as many merchandising deals in general forced to take every makeup deal they can because they want to be able to compete with the men. And net worth is actually a huge part of that conversation. So you can't just pretend that that's not why. But so then there's a number of Marvel Cinematic Universe people that I really recognize that became so synonymous with every surface of the world, right? But like there are so many of these early actors like Jeremy Renner, who until he decided to, what did he do? Did he like create like a crypto social media or something?
He made an app.
And Chrissy Teigen wanted me to buy it or whatever. I don't know. That really... Well, Jeremy ran away from it, which...
Imagine if you turned a person into an app. That's basically what he did. It was weird.
But no, all seriousness, and this is not one of those Nico, LOL, there's a joke coming. Many speedy recoveries to Jeremy Renner. Nobody wants to have a physical tragedy. Nobody wants to have an accident. Actually, I do know a couple of guys like that on Recon. Nobody wants to have a tragic accident in public. and nobody wants to have to heal in front of the world, and that Jeremy Renner is using this as an opportunity to speak up for other people who need to heal in such a way, actually does make him a superhero, ironically paralleling the time Hawkeye went. But yeah, phase one, a lot of introductions. Every one of these feels like a season 1 graphic novel, with the exception of Iron Man 2, which feels like it could have been called Avengers, oops, we shot a little early, we'll get him next time.
I don't even know if it's that for me as it is. It just really feels more like the next episode of a TV show where, you know, very few other things in the MCU really feel that way, even when they feel super irrelevant. Like, you know, I think Ant-Man movies always feel pretty irrelevant to me, not in a bad way, just in like a...
No, but I get you. I really get that.
Yeah, you know what? The gasp, I'm so sorry.
Not
the gasp
insulting.
was unacceptable, because the gasp wasn't meant that I need the Ant-Man movies so that I can catch my breath.
Yo, yeah, that's
their function.
Yeah, and that's
Right.
that's why I gasped, because I was like, I need that to
Yeah.
survive. Oh, you know what? Yeah, it is a breather. It's like,
yeah, and like just you know, look at this phase 1 graphic. Kevo, thank you so much. We're 3 movies into any idea of a unified universe, and one of those isn't even a Marvel movie; it's a Universal movie. So we're really on the second one with no kind of idea what's coming, and for it just to feel like, you know, it's a really lackluster villain. Like, they didn't really make any use of how insane Mickey Rourke is, or like there's not a single 30 Rock reference, which, what a loss.
I just need to, for one moment, jump in and say that not to have favorites or anything, but one of the absolutely smartest, most attractive X's for Show fans in the entire world tuned in and sent some hearts our way. So big shout outs there to a super cool dude.
Hello
just
there.
to get that
Thank
in.
you.
But didn't, you know, phrasing.
Please enjoy our ramblings.
Yeah, please.
I really love everything you said about Mickey Rourke not being utilized, but I'm going to make a challenge to that.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke is challenging.
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke is utilized beautifully, because he gives me one of every Iron Man movie has an "Are you fucking kidding me?" bad quote.
Yeah.
And of course, I have paid bills on my impersonation of screaming box of scraps. But if we can actually, Stain is such a beast mountain of a man. There could not be Kingpin if Stain hadn't really created a large physicality in the earlier film. But to that end, I want to point out that Iron Man 2 gives us, I want my bird. And then you got Sam Rockwell coming in, being the most annoying guy in the world, going, "What, you want a bird? You want a bird? I'll get you a bird. I got you a bird. It's a bird.
Get him a bird. I was in Charlie's Angels."
I pretty famously don't like Sam Rockwell as an actor.
You famously don't.
As a smarmy guy. But the thing I've come to realize is it's not that I don't like him as a smarmy guy. It's that, like, I feel he is so good at playing whatever role that's put in front of him. He can go some places that are almost maybe threatening. And he makes this character of Hammer so repulsive. I can imagine the vial he keeps his GHB in to give Gil a trip to the dentist. Yep. And that is really something only Sam Rockwell can bring to the role.
I see it. I just, unfortunately, at the end of the day, the rest of the film doesn't live up to that in a way that is just like, because I think Iron Man 3 feels like what I thought the follow-up to Iron Man would be. It's really big. It's really got a lot of heart to it. Iron Man 2 to me always just feels like another a day in the life of Tony Stark, just another adventure, and not in any way that is bad. I'm so shocked at how early on in this process we are, where we don't even have a Thor or a Captain America movie yet. And so, you know, like, if this were after those two, I think I might feel like, well, yeah, because it's his next movie. It's just whatever, it's always a big movie for the first one. We've seen it 3 times. But since we had no idea what to expect, the fact that it is so kind of low key, and I don't want to say formulaic because there was no formula, but
It was Formula One racing.
Thank you. Yeah.
For me, though, and through that, I feel like this is sort of a pilot for what a second episode of a franchise like this could be.
Sure.
I feel like so many things about this, because it could have failed being what you're talking about. And frankly, critically, it is not very well loved. But I think so much of what the MCU has done since this is built on what Iron Man 2 established this brand to be able to do, where it felt very just an episode, and they recast Rhodey, which establishes immediately, hey, that might happen sometimes, and we might even get an actor to come back sometimes, but this is a movie franchise. And so I feel like even getting that out of the way right away established a lot for the MCU. And I think the tag with Thor's hammer and the Easter egg where Coulson holds up the prototype Captain America shield, there's a lot of things in this that were seeding more and more this potentially being a franchise. I feel like there's less of that in Thor, and what of that there is in Thor was retroactively put in by Joss Whedon with the
It
Jeremy
lifts right
Renner
out.
bit.
Yeah.
So there isn't really as much in Thor, and Captain America is forever ago, so there isn't really a ton in that either. So that makes Iron Man feel even more foreign. Iron Man 2 feel even more foreign, that is.
And it's really interesting because Iron Man 2, and this sounds like I'm saying something totally non sequitur, but it's time for Nico Horny. I had like the worst Netflix and chill of my life to Iron Man 2. That has nothing to do with the guy. The guy is not why it was the worst Netflix and chill of my life. But I had the worst Netflix and chill ever to Iron Man 2. And the reason I bring that up is because we were like, oh, what movie can we throw on? Oh, yeah, you don't need to pay attention to that. But like any other movie you might put on for Netflix and chill, you might be like, oh, hold on, wait. Shh. You know what? Fine. Do whatever you want. Yeah, no, I love this part. Shh. But like you wouldn't during Iron Man 2 because there's really no part to be like shh 2. But speaking of 2s, we get Avengers, which we really need to hit time-wise because we have Phase 2 to get to. But Avengers, when you watch Avengers for the first time, you have no idea the problems with Avengers. And when you watch Avengers the first 10 times, you have no idea the problems with Avengers. It isn't until you're confronted with Avengers' limitations as a film, namely that it is directed like a television show, which, like, not to be like, because I am no Assad Kallada. And so, who is, of course, a very famous director, and I'm sure everybody knows Assad Kallada's work.
He directed all those Facts of Life.
He directed all those Facts of Life. And so, but I myself am no Mr. Kallada, which isn't even on the menu at Dunkin' Donuts anymore. It's on like the secret menu.
Okay, focus down, Bear. Focus down.
So, I don't know that much about directing, but if I did know anything about directing, I would say doing super close-ups of every character in a slow pan is cool once or twice, but when it's the only bit it does start to become like theater blocking 101. Well, and like I'm waiting for TK to he's my big brother and I love him so much and he's so handsome and hot, but I don't know if I'm about to get like smacked down right now because he is a director, man. I do love that when my video catches up from when it slows down, it kind of moves like a Missy Elliott video.
Yeah, you kind of slide into it. It's very sexy.
It is
directorial choices. This is all intentional, people. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and I think in general, and the fact that we kind of have to move forward in this, one of the big things that we're speaking about in this really early phase and in these really early films is just a lot of there were no rules. This is where the blueprint is kind of getting set. And therefore, you notice a lot of big choices that are made, or a lot of choices that are made seem big. And like just to me, the example that I think I was pointing at with Iron Man 2, for instance, is that like, had it been after Thor and Captain America, I feel like I would feel differently about it, even if nothing else were different. And
I get that though.
Yeah, I mean, because like everything that you said about like how it establishes a bunch of stuff that continues to be true is 100% correct. It just feels weird in the slot that it's in. And it's choices like where to slot films, what's going to happen in the, like, is it an intro? Is it the person getting their powers? Have they already been this forever? You know, we're figuring it out film by film. And so, you know, we're evaluating how it stacks up when there are no rules. It's a very fascinating thing to have to do. And
yeah,
looking at it, actually, the thing that I'm just really like, that's not right, is that Avengers is the 4th movie.
Okay, and for a second I was like, no, it's 5th or it's 6th. But like, okay.
That's insane to me. I'm like, no, there's a whole background because you need all the... No, I guess it just is.
Wait, how?
Let's not. I'm saying 4th. It's Marvel's 4th movie.
Because that was literally what I meant. That
okay.
like Iron Man was made as Iron Man,
right?
And Hulk was made as Hulk. But Thor, Iron Man,
Marvel
2,
Studios,
and Captain America were made.
Marvel Studios. Okay,
Marvel
yeah,
Studios.
yeah,
Truly excellent perspective. I really hadn't considered it that way.
Yeah.
I love your point too of it's interesting where things can affect your perception if they sit differently. I love things like the machete cut for Star Wars or different perspective cuts. Like there's one MCU cut where you can technically watch Captain Marvel either before or after Avengers.
Right.
It's just really fascinating.
I mean, yeah, you could technically watch Captain Marvel as the earliest, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think Captain America has to come earliest.
Right. But yeah, and I mean, like, it's just all viewing styles are valid. I have done very little temporal order viewing, but
yeah,
I mean, you know, Captain Marvel comes so late in the game that like so many of these choices are set by then. Again, this is not like a bad thing. But it's just so funny to be looking at this kind of Big Bang chaos that's happening in this first phase.
Well, and let me, you know, cover part of my face for a moment.
Is it going to be like this the whole time?
Kind of. It's all I can think about.
I just need to know.
Of the night. It's like, it's why I think I've had a far off look in my eyes all day.
My TikTok has just been comparing every woman singing that one part where the Phantom is screaming at her to keep singing. It's exhausting. Your ears start to bleed.
Yeah. And Tori referenced it earlier in the chat too, at the same time that you were talking about it, actually.
But the reason I bring it up is because most people don't realize this, but Phantom actually has a sequel, and it is truly not good. It's
by Andy Lloyd.
It is Andy Lloyd Webb doing. Man, I wish he would do a show at Webster Hall. But anyway, so Andy Lloyd Webby has a sequel to Phantom called Love Never Dies, and as Tori says in the chat, love really should die. And Agreed. For those of you who know the thematic score of Phantom, it literally, the main theme is love never dies, love never falters. It literally is just 10,000%. Just, yeah, Mr. Sheffield is just, I just hit the mic so hard. But anyway, point of the story. So many people have done their Christine and their Phantom in Phantom that there really isn't a lot more room to invent a Christine or a Phantom in Phantom. But there is that room in the world of something like Love Never Dies, where the performance isn't as expected yet, only being like 20 years old, which in the scheme of musicals is nothing, right? So I feel like in a lot of ways, something like Captain Marvel, because it trod worlds that were trod so troddenly, it had the Avengers bits of Avengers, it had the Guardian bits of Guardians that it had
Oh,
to
you need
interact
it
and
where
play
it
with.
goes. I
Not
get
only
it.
do you need it where it goes, but it had no choice but to trod ground that was already trod because
Oh, for
all of the
sure.
ground that it needed was covered. Whereas something like Ant-Man came the way fuck out of left field. And, I know that I'm cursing a lot tonight. I'm so sorry. And we'd been not cursing a lot, but then we all kind of messed up a few times. And
Floodgates opened.
the floodgate opened, and I'm going to close it back up behind me. And, it's always good to look forward and not look back. So let's look forward at phase 2.
So I want to read something that Tori posted in the chat first in response to what we were talking about with Iron Man 2, where she says, I think it's also important that we didn't start Iron Man 2 with Iron Man immediately being a hero, saving the day all the time. He's not a superhero yet in the way we were used to from Spider-Mans and Batmans and Supermans. And I think that's an especially interesting point to bring up as we go into looking at Phase 2 and Iron Man 3 and the way Iron Man 3 continues the MCU, continues the Iron Man narrative.
Truly.
This was like the biggest gap between movies for a really long time, too. This was a full year between Avengers and Iron Man 3. And I remember at the time thinking, like, this is risky.
And I was about to say that, exactly that, Kevy. It wasn't an attractive gap. It wasn't like Michael Strahan's smile. It was like the sort of gap that leaves you wondering just how passed around the party bottom is. And so I found myself really worried when we saw Iron Man 3. Critical reception was like rough because Iron Man 3 was a weird movie, and 3 starting phase 2, and there was a lot of things that made this weird. And then, honest truth, this is me. I am this guy. I like go to the gym and flex in the mirror for myself like a big old Chad loser boy because I want to be Thor and I worship. But man, Thor: The Dark World is like the worst thing. And the fact
I was shocked by how short it is.
Well, and how interminable it feels. And
looking
the fact
at this
that
though,
they made it feel almost relevant with Endgame. Thank you.
Yeah, this just pulls in the conversation we were just having. Like, I look at this Iron Man 3 slot, and this should be the Iron Man 2 slot because Iron Man 3 should be so much later, because when we look at how the entire first 3 phases and all the way through Endgame, one of the big things is Tony's arc. Like, that is the meta arc of all of this. Dark World apologist.
Do you see this queen?
God
Do you
love
see this
you.
queen hanging out in our chat? Do you see this queen?
God love Tori, the Dark World apologist. And there are things to like about that movie. Absolutely.
Dark World is Thor's Iron Man 2, I feel.
Yeah, although I will say, like, for Thor, it comes out at the right time, and then Thor gets a 4th movie, so, he has the luxury of a bad one.
It also is in a run of movies where it was more about what the men looked like than it really was about the success of the film. They just wanted us to see that Chris Hemsworth had never been bigger. Chris Evans hit the trend cycle of his life, and Chris Pratt had gotten real buff.
This whole run of movies was like, you can tell from the posters, it was all very much like about take us seriously, we're gritty, we're grim, we're serious, up leading into Guardians being a little lighter.
You're so right, because all of the Chris's, they're all on display, and they all get a later movie that is better for them as actors and better for the character. Like, Winter Soldier doesn't really do anything. Civil War does the thing that Winter Soldier suggests it might do. But what Winter Soldier does is have Cap have the moment where he's, there's just so many flexing things for him there. And it's the same thing. Thor is just interminably horny throughout Dark World, and Guardians fares a little bit better because James Gunn is in the mix, and then this is where we start to get into
wow, the magic of trauma films coming to the Marvel Universe just for us.
Hot shot directors, names coming in. What's that going to mean? For Chris Pratt and for Star-Lord, it really was about how hot Chris Pratt got to be in the movie. You know, that first trailer we
Yeah.
got where he's just in his underwear for no reason.
And that orange goop.
Yep.
Yep.
That was it. That was his story. There really is not a whole lot for Star-Lord, you know, and especially given that the second movie is Star-Lord's daddy issues come home to roost in a planet-sized way. It's just so notable that, yeah, a big part of these movies is hot men for straight men, which, like, I used to watch that all the time, but that site shut down.
Well, I actually really love your point of hot men for straight men, because I do want to, I don't know, this is going to sound really weird, but there was a run of, during the MCU, a lot of men in my life came out to me as bisexual. And a lot of them were like, I don't even know that I'm physically capable of interacting with a man sexually, but I know that I am outwardly, openly attracted to men. I desire the physicality of men. And, you know, not to, but like gays of a certain age, a lot of us had that straight friend that was like, hey, I don't know if I am into this, but I feel drawn to you physically. And you know, you did it or you didn't. But like a lot of those guys went on to be like, hey, that was just a thing for me. No big deal. Just kind of a phase. And some of them didn't. And I really wonder how much it was all of these very, because there's just no other way to put it. And even though Chris Pratt has made some choices in the ensuing years, he has never been openly homophobic. And that is really something I just want to like, I'm not giving him a pass for being associated with the church. Exactly. Because then every one of them is, you know, every one of them is Monsanto and we should all feel terrible. But that was just for Tori. So anyway, yeah, I feel as though these men really did a lot for sexual awakenings of acceptability. And at the end of the day, you know, Paul Rudd saying, you know, you're gorgeous, okay, had an effect on a lot of us.
Yeah.
And then being gorgeous in Ant-Man, I mean, you know, this is a real double-edged sword. Like, it's, Nico, what you're saying is a huge thing that I think, like, anthropologically we will be reckoning with for decades, you know, centuries to come. But yeah, like this is all really large budget production films are made for the male gaze no matter what. Even ones that focus on the physiques and physicalities of other men that are ostensibly heterosexual, and we say that the audiences are ostensibly heterosexual, you cannot get this deep into the physicality without recognizing how much some degree of sexualization will come into play for whoever the dominant eye is that's going to be watching the films. And I think the really fascinating thing is that where I think we would have believed before this that showing off physiques like this was purely to be like, this is the aspiration for you guy that is watching it. This is, you know, that inner God of Thunder is inside of you, and this is your escapism to feel like you could make that happen. But I think because of where we were culturally and where, you know, brave homosexuals were really stepping out and being more prominent.
Yeah, there are no brave heterosexuals.
No, not a single one. Sorry, you guys tried, but you lost. Culturally, we were in a moment where, as you so astutely put it, like so many men got into the theater and were like, this is more than just I want big biceps. This is like, I want big biceps. And it's unique to this phase and this chunk of it, these 3-4 films especially, how serious that comes into play. But it's there throughout, and I think Paul Rudd is the best example because he's a little older, doesn't really matter as much for Scott Lang, and yet Ant-Man is shredded as hell too.
And specifically shred a lot more than the jacked of the Evans or Hemsworth or even
he
the
had that washboard
Ruffalo
situation.
Yeah. I also Tori made a point in the chat here that Winter Soldier is the movie she tells people to watch if they don't like superhero movies because it is a solid government spy movie without the lycra, and that's something that I think Winter Soldier. It's not my cup of tea for that specifically, even, but it is something that did legitimately establish a firm new ground for the MCU that so many people point back to as a touch reference now. So,
and to speak on touch references, I love the effect that a really good actor has on the world, right? Like, there's so few people I can think of who go in this category of their presence alone changes the project. It's Prince, it's Meryl Streep, it's Beyonce. It's so few people that the sheer involvement of their person alone changes everything. And I think the littlest person on that chart, like if there is only 50 spots, it doesn't matter who the top 49 are. Number 50 is always James Spader, who might just be one of the finest actors to ever live. And
yeah,
I really don't feel like I'm being hyperbolic. Alan Shore is quite literally the most powerful, most compelling David E. Kelly character of all time. And also, Denny Crane is one of the greatest two-word catchphrases of all time. I don't know. I think Boston Legal...
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, anyway.
Not crazy relevant here, but
James Spader is one of the finest actors of all time.
Yeah.
And Ultron is so horrible.
Yeah.
If it weren't for the fact that Age of Ultron in Marvel Contest of Champions, which Marvel Contest of Champions, we are happy to do an after show anytime you guys want. We are so excited about the release of the 7-star champion. I watched the live broadcast afterward, guys. It was really exciting. Thank you so much. I love the new Apothecary. What a cool new mode. I love the third mode. Thanks for giving it earlier this year. Marvel Contest of Champions takes up all of my time and money. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. I'm a huge fan, really working hard to get my first 6-star, and then I'll just keep driving in until I get that 7-star, apparently. But yes, Ultron it's Age of Ultron style Ultron in the game, and he is a great character and a very tough battle if you don't have him, which I don't.
My 5-star Age of Ultron is the only reason I was able to get where I've gotten. I'm not even kidding. So I really respect your perspective.
I 100% feel, I mean, I have a couple of those myself. Age of Ultron, the movie Ultron, it's tough because like, I feel as though this is another place where it's choices, but we're still early enough that what are ostensibly little choices actually become really big choices, and that they strayed so far from the Ultron aesthetic, which I know that seems like it wouldn't be a big deal, but I actually think the big thing is Ultron is so inhuman. He is a killer robot that has, for some reason, a human mind or soul inside of him. And it would have made so much more sense in this particular film because he's trying so hard to be a real boy. God, remember they had the like Pinocchio, the trailer with the
strings,
gloomy Pinocchio music. Oh, Lord Almighty!
They really helped establish that.
Yeah, I think it would have made so much more sense to have given him a hollow robot body with the recognizable. The biggest thing for me is the mouth, the moving mouth, the human mouth that just takes me so out of it, where a robot mouth that just flashes and doesn't move, and James Spader's...
Maybe the wavy lines or something.
Every time you said the robot, I just wanted to shout out, the robot!
The robot!
And I'm his friend Jesus!
And, James Spader's voice made tinny and hollow in a non-moving, flashing robot mouth would have, I think, done the job. Because I think James Spader is really killing his delivery. It's just that Joss Whedon did some Joss Whedon things that I truly do not understand.
Yeah.
And just for the record, I never plan on having children. And I'm not broken or a monster. And anybody who decides not to have children in an age and a world that does not financially support having children, bless all of you who decide to. to quote my new favorite thing from an unlikely new favorite person, and if you don't agree, you can have a blessed day. I will do the same. So I just want to thank Mistress Isabel Brooks for that quote of a lifetime, and I plan on using it every day of my life.
I don't full on hate Ultron in the way that I don't know that I full on hate any of these movies. It's, for me, I think the biggest undeniable fact is it is continuing this bizarre trend of Marvel sequels that just sort of fall flat and are sort of this weird episode of the week thing rather than being something that establishes further ground in the franchise. I feel like Ultron was ultimately supposed to just be showing us what the Avengers look like between the Infinity Saga. The story that was in it ultimately was very, very, very questionable, and so that sucked.
But it gave
But
us one thing.
What? I can't see what you're doing.
Wanda.
Oh, yeah.
It sure did give us Wanda, and it gave us Pietro, and it taketh Pietro away. Joss Whedon's fearless penchant for killing really important characters to show how badass he is strikes again, and we lose out on a really fantastic character and actor and weird sexual chemistry between a brother and a sister that have weird sexual chemistry in the comics. I'm truly bummed about that.
Galactic!
Hey, Allie. Yes, Pietro. He ate that entire 2 scenes that he was in, never to be seen again, to be uncomfortably replaced with Evan Peters playing not him. That was a weird, hurtful choice. And as somebody who has been with Joss since the very beginning and loved the kid from 6 Feet Under getting killed off at the start of Buffy, that was my last one. Did not appreciate the death of Pietro.
I when I think about what it gave us, though, something that the Marvel Universe has done time and time again that we see more in the third phase, thanks to the Russo brothers. And I don't know how else to put it, but the Russo brothers being comedians is what makes this work.
Yes.
Every bad decision that ever happened in the history of the Marvel Universe, they tried to work with it.
Yeah, that was soil for them.
And you know what? I do think Avengers Age of Ultron is the weakest Avengers movie of the 4.
Yeah.
Yet it gave me my favorite MCU character, Wanda, which ultimately gives me my 4 favorite MCU moments of all time, which 3 of them star Wanda.
I mean, she really does have some of the best moments because it's when everything gets taken up to a level that you know it's supposed to be at.
No, I have to put on the Wanda hat. I'll be right back.
Please,
I can't do this anymore.
it.
I'm lying to myself right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think Nico makes a really fantastic point. The chaos of the first 2 phases really did become fertile soil for the Russo brothers, who, I knew from Community and loved their work and am just so impressed with what they did for phase 3.
I'm trying to...
Was that, Kevo?
No, go ahead. Sorry, I'm just talking to myself.
Okay. One of the things that's so interesting about, pointing out that they're comedians is that they don't do much of the comedy heavy lifting in the MCU. The overt comedy heavy lifting, I should say. They are not the directors of the funnier movies. They do not insert the kind of humor that they used to direct into the films that they get for the MCU, but there is a sensibility and an understanding of working with what you've got, timing, improv principles that I really feel they inserted into the work that they did put in ways that made Phase 3 this really spectacular height of this franchise that it was.
It watched like Modern Family as an action movie, film after film.
Yeah, something I would not have agreed with, except you guys have made me watch so much Modern Family. I can't deny that it's actually really good and really smart anymore.
I want to just point out Ali Galactic says that Quicksilver died with his ass in the air, queer icon, and I just want to say that's my kind of boy and just more proof that he's a mutant.
Really true. Yeah, we got to return to that soon. Gosh darn it.
Okay, now a big thing we need to talk about with the third phase that I think is such a central...
I did it. I got the thing I was trying to build up. There you
Kelly,
go.
Thank you. What a great thing to point out.
This thing that I made 1 billion years ago. This is specifically how many episodes of these iconic TV shows the Russo brothers directed to give us a better sense of their comedic chops.
Hold on, wait. Oh my God!
I made this like 1 billion years ago.
Snakes home. Wait, can you go back? Can you go back to happy endings? Thank you. The Massacre?
Yeah, the Valentine's Day episode. Yes, and which we quote all the time. That's the one with Megan Mullally.
Yes, yeah, I was about to say. We quote...
Oh, where they do tours?
The season premiere with Jazz and the condo. That one too.
Which is just a really good deal on a personal pizza. My God, happy endings is one of those things that's like, I think the reason I watch happy endings less often than I used to is because everything in the world just sounds like happy endings now. I just listen to other people tell jokes and every one of them sounds like David Casp, which just actually a funny thing. If anybody ever wants to know why happy endings is so remarkably funny, it legitimately is because they sought to write jokes faster. The expectation is a joke every 20 seconds or whatever it is. But on happy endings, the rule was a joke every 10. And so it is why happy endings watch is funnier and why in many ways it's good that there wasn't a whole lot more. Speaking of things that unfortunately have that same effect, Thor Ragnarok is a pinnacle moment for me as a fan of Thor. And, oh, hold on. Oh my God, it's just so fucking heavy.
Okay, I have my prop too. Oh, what do you got?
All right.
Yeah.
So, one of the things about Thor in Phase 3 is that he definitely has a really interesting redesign aesthetic. While I do think that there is no question to the musculature, the incredible enhancement of the quality of these actors in their films in Phase 2. Phase 3 is really a different size for Chris Hemsworth, and it's the moment at which Chris Hemsworth stopped just being a muscular man and became a guy who would, for the rest of it's almost done, I promise. He became a guy who, for the rest of his life, is going to be, oh my God, okay, is going to be a fitness icon forever. And that's just his lot because of what he did, being this big, but that means Ragnarok is, that just means that Ragnarok represents this thing that is the funniest film for Thor, the best film for Thor, the best he looks, the best use of Loki, the best use of Hulk, the best use of a reinterpretation of a character, though I would really do anything to get Angela in the MCU. And now there still is room. She could be their sister from another part of the multiverse, so she's the Hela from another dimension, which would still allow her to come from another world and be their sister. So there's still ways you can get Angela in there, because
Hela from another Bella.
Hela from another fella, because I need to be really clear with you. There is no limit to the number of Asgardian women and women of the Thor mythos that belong in the Thor films. Anyway,
it's also the idea that Odin shagged another lady he wasn't supposed to isn't like out of the realm of possibility. Yeah. It's also a really funny joke. If you're like, really, we're doing this again?
I just think that Thor Ragnarok represents such a pinnacle of filmmaking for me in so many ways. It's, and I agree with Ali Galactic. Ali Galactic says Guardians 2, Ragnarok, and Black Panther. For me, it's actually Homecoming, Ragnarok, Black Panther.
Well, this is Phase 3, Part 1, don't forget. There's still 5 other movies that go in Phase 3.
Yeah.
There's
for
actually...
me, I think it's Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Far From Home, maybe? But it's Captain Marvel and Black Panther for me are really the two that I'm like, I want to push the boundaries. I want to watch the movies that all the people that I find most toxic don't like. Because that's where I know I'm going to find the stuff for me that I really... And it's not because it's challenging to toxic
We're on
people.
Carol?
What?
We're on Carol?
We can be. Oh, you want to change your hats? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The hat changes. I'm living for it. Black Panther to me was so exciting. Black Panther is exciting to me in a way that Miss Marvel has been really exciting, specifically because I don't necessarily want films and characters and superheroes and protagonists whose lives I really recognize and resonate with all of the time.
Yeah, I get that.
Particularly not ones where it's like, yeah, we're both white and from the Northeast. Like, I would like a queer superhero film, like a lead who's like, had a similar life story to me and can be like, I grew up bullied in high school and I got powers and things are good. But like, if it's just, Chris Evans, I don't shrug, like that's fine. But like getting to see Kamala Khan's life with her family that is nothing like what my life with my family was as a teen is really fun to me. And similarly, seeing Black Panther, seeing Afrofuturism taken to a level that we see Eurocentric sci-fi taken to all the time, but by Black director, with Black actors, really saying that there is such a beauty to the touchstones of Black culture that you can fold into a sci-fi film and make even more beautiful and bombastic and bigger and blockbustery. Though a lot of these things are not things that I recognize or like personally are part of my culture that I relate to. It was so cool. It's like traveling. You see stuff that you didn't see before and isn't yours to own, but that somebody is sharing with you and that you get to experience is such a joyful thing. And it's what made the movie so special to me.
Honestly, for me, the only really weak part for Phase 3 is these two movies right here.
Yep. Yep.
And even then, it's mostly the first third of this movie that I didn't care for. And then once Doctor Strange starts being a complete horse's ass.
Yeah.
And then he still makes mistakes, but he's less of an actual hard to watch character, then I really enjoy it. Whereas with this one, there's flubs throughout, but it's really the relationship between Gamora and Nebula and what an amazing character Nebula has become in this franchise. So unexpected, so unbelievable. And so
gift, and it starts here.
Peter Quill and abusive father forgiveness aside, I think there's a lot of merit in Guardians 2 as well. And at the very least, they're always very colorful and pretty. But other than that, I love all of these. I love all of them.
I purposely made that Assad Kalata joke as a tribute to Sean Gunn earlier. For all of the shit I do give the Guardian movies, and I probably think they're when you get to third least favorite branch, it's no longer least favorite. That's so far up. Yeah. It is really Doctor Strange 1 for me that is so impossible to watch. The only really good things I love about the Doctor Strange films are you can actually go back and listen to the MCU episode. I wasn't watching Hannibal yet, but I was like, Cressilius is hysterical. Yeah. The way he's just like, what? Like everything about his delivery. I don't know. Doctor Strange, you have yet to deliver a movie that makes me very happy.
I like the character more than the films. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I think his best role is in the third Spider-Man movie, something home. There's always home in there.
Spider-Man home baked cornbread.
That's the one featuring Stephen Strange. It's a fantastic film. And yeah, it's just, and you know, the fact of the matter is I think Multiverse of Madness has a ton of merit and he's good in it. It's just such a weird film, and that's for later. But yeah, I mean, this phase was really special, and it was just big swings throughout that I do think for the most part really did pay off. Even the things that I don't like. My problem with Guardians is almost exclusively Chris Pratt and Chris Pratt adjacent thing, like Star-Lord adjacent things in the film. But you know, that is such a huge part of it that it's really tough. But this family, everybody else I love.
And if I could just make one statement that I've been thinking about all day, and it has to do with a conversation I had with Kevo and TK.
Yeah.
Can I tell you the one change I would make that would literally turn Guardians of the Galaxy into I can't breathe how much I love it? I'm literally thinking about crying on air.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend too much time on Guardians because we're devoting a whole episode to it next month. But please, by all means.
Just switch Chris Pratt with Don Glover, and it's the greatest film franchise ever made.
Yep. I could not agree more.
Think about his way of impersonating Michael Jackson, and the more
it would be a very
come.
physically different Peter Quill.
Yep.
So I'm only not agreeing it would be exactly the same.
Well, and I absolutely think
in terms of personality, yeah.
I just would have made Chris Pratt Nova.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I still think he's a great actor and think he has a lot of potentiality. But I really believe that if Don Glover had been a funny Troy-esque, and like, you know, I'm not saying that I am expecting, you know, Star-Lord and Groot in the morning, but I would certainly love it.
This is really funny. Tori points out, didn't we have that What If episode where T'Challa becomes Star-Lord instead? It's not the same thing that it would be, but it is funny that there is a thing out there that shows, if someone else became Star-Lord, very different scene.
I couldn't agree more. You know, and you could even have Kurt
Keaton
Russell.
Vulture. Yes, sorry.
I don't like Kurt Russell's ego, but you could have Kurt Russell's ego because the whole point is he just looks like somebody that he thinks his son liked back in the day. Which is, you know, one of the great things about it. So like, you know, I think you're absolutely right. You're pointing to an actor who, you know, it would have been more inclusive. That's true. We do. Allie points out you can have him till he gets his Lando series filmed.
Easily the best thing about Solo. We watched it for the first time this week. Easily times 70. The best thing about Solo.
Yep. I think you're absolutely right. And so, you know, at the end of the day, that's another kind of a miss for me. Ant-Man and the Wasp is, as you perfectly put it, a breather. It's actually not that bad. It's what I want Iron Man 2 to be, but it's in the proper place for being that. It is an episode of Ant-Man and the Wasp. It does not matter, but it's fun. It's fine. Villain doesn't matter, but she's fine. That's a very good actor, and unfortunately a bit of a waste to have her in that role.
But the actor that plays MODOK is like the hottest man like in the world, and they used him like he was some sort of horrifying, misshapen creature.
We'll get to that one in Quantumania.
I also love the ending of Ant-Man and the Wasp because it addresses one of those things that people always love to point to, like as a gotcha or something, like, why didn't they call this person? Like, this shows what someone was doing during the battle for Wakanda. And, you know, it all happened so fast. Everyone didn't necessarily get the call at the same time. I really think people forget, because of how connected we all are, thanks to the internet, how large the world really is.
Right.
And so showing these people who really had no clue this was even going on right now, and that moment for them.
Later phases have teleporters teleport in when people know the teleporters. Like, you know, Wong is going around the multiverse
But if you
picking,
don't, you don't.
picking people up, right? They didn't know, they have no way to get there, so they just don't show up, which I think is brilliant. But also, you know, like, you can't be a purist about how great the MCU is, the comic book inspired franchise, and not at a certain point just go, sometimes the timing doesn't line up. Don't be so damn pedantic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just ready with a thing.
Yeah.
I was like,
Go.
I actually don't have a lot I want to say on Captain Marvel. I, at the time, called it a perfect film. And I think if I take any points off, it is, I don't know. Wanda is my favorite character in the MCU, but Brie Larson is the absolute best performance of a comic book character, like, ever.
Agreed.
And she speaks to me in a way where, like, I have the same relationship with Brie Larson's Captain Marvel that I have with Tori Amos. It feels like all of my feelings just make sense when she says them. And it is not a perfect film, but it is a perfect film for me. And the actual greatest moment in all of film for me, I have said this a million times and I'm not backing down. The greatest moment in film history for me is Thanos punching Carol in the face. And Carol
And
just
she doesn't move.
She just looks like that was such a waste of that moment of her life. And, like, that is the strength of every woman who has ever walked into a comic shop. And that is the strength of all of the women that raised me. And that is the strength of all of the women that inspire me. And I just felt like in that one moment, for 1 second, this dumb, stupid purple bully with his dumb, big phallic fist just hit her in the face. And all it did was bug her. And it's just the greatest. It's quite literally my favorite moment in any movie ever made, ever. And number 2 of all time is when Wanda says, "You will." So Endgame is a movie. It's a movie I have a lot of feels about.
And I completely agree. This is one of those things that, like, this is why we're brothers, like this, because I felt the same way, and I know we are in a sea of people that really don't feel that way. Not all of them unkindly, some of them horribly unkindly and unfairly, but some people, it's not unkind, it's just not for them. But it really so was for me. Also, the 90s factor. I am the 1990s run through my blood, and I know I'm not getting many 1990s period pieces out of the MCU. I accept that. That's okay. But I did get one. Celebrity Skin wouldn't have been the track I would have chosen for the end, but we'll talk about that later. Marvel, we can always put something else in. Call me. For me, the moment is Something's Entered the Atmosphere.
Yes. Oh.
Carol showing up to the battle and just bulleting through the ship, to me, is just like such a, I live for the cavalry is here moment. And just that it's just Carol, you know, that it's not Carol and the Nova Corps behind her. Carol, it's Carol. I love Carol. You know, unfortunate haircut aside, men get shitty haircuts all the time and we say nothing.
I mean, not everybody is Paul Rudd with the same hair since 1996 because it fits his unbelievably handsome face. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul. We love you.
Hey, Paul.
I'm not even, like, sexually attracted to Paul, like, in a, like, gotta have him way. I'm just like, Paul Rudd is literally the definition of, like, Robert Redford handsome.
Yeah, it's the handsomeness that just does not quit.
It's truly it's like, it's amazing to me how many of the actors that the Marvel Universe has chosen who have an agelessness about them.
Yep.
There are definitely duds. There are definitely misses. But you know what? Mark Ruffalo has felt like a 70s porn actor since he first burst into the scene. So him as the Hulk, you know what? Yeah, I bet Mark Ruffalo's dick is the Hulk. And, like, when I think about the effortlessness that someone like an Elizabeth Olsen brings to Wanda, this, you know, accent aside, the way she's able to make me believe this young woman has grown up in a way that I don't think Elizabeth Olsen grew up. I'm not saying that Elizabeth Olsen grew up being like, Mom, my platinum shoes don't fit. Bring me caviar.
No, but she knows Dave Coulier.
But she knows Dave Coulier, and that's absolutely, you know, you ought to know. So I feel like there is just a timelessness, and the fact that we compare beautiful Tommy Holly to Gene Kelly, who he's playing, when Gene Kelly is the single sexiest man in the history of the world.
And it's Chris Evans that's playing Fred Astaire.
Yeah, which is bizarrely hot on every level. So
I need them to dance in something together.
So, Kevo, TK, we've talked a little bit about Endgame. We've talked a little bit about Phase 3. But what are your guys' overalls on Phase 1 through 3?
Like each one individually?
Just like your overall on that first few years.
Okay.
As a whole.
Put
this up while we think.
The Sailors.
That we did.
That's actually the brilliant
Tori's
art of
idea.
Tori Sheehan.
I love this.
It is the A-Force moment as Sailor Scouts in a print that I think is from the Sailor Moon movie.
Amazing.
But yeah.
And there's just something about the way Tori expresses the idea of fandom in a way that I find very attractive and accessible. It's the idea of remembering to include Mantis, to take the moment to consider Okoye. There's the reality of the fact that the Marvel universe, like the Marvel comic verse, is built on so many unsung heroes. And it's not just that Wong is the hottest guy. I mean, like, seriously, Benedict Wong is like one of the most unbelievably attractive men working in movies. And he plays this secondary character. And so, like, it's this beautiful man who is so talented. He's so talented. And he's shown his ability to do drama, humor, emotion, power. His scene-stealing turn in She-Hulk, a show full of scene stealers, speaks volumes. The Marvel Universe is built on its background characters, and that's probably my final thoughts on Phase 1 through 3. Every character in the first 3 phases of the Marvel Universe, big or small, matters to me in a way that I am grateful for. Except for maybe Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm grateful for Pepper Potts, but, Gwyneth...
She doesn't even remember making these movies, so it's fine.
It's so weird, though. She's great in them.
She's so unbelievably great. She's actually like...
She's great in most things she does.
She's so talented.
She's great on Glee. She's hilarious and amazing at singing on Glee. It's just, she's Gwyneth Paltrow.
Talented. Yes. Yeah.
So
and like,
rough.
Meanwhile, Blythe Danner is like my second favorite Blythe after Blythe Spirit. So...
That's just funny because I told you about how they definitely did that play at my high school.
Tori is literally grimacing at me in the green room right now.
Yeah.
She's shooting me hate looks. Tori, are you ready to just come in? Yeah, let's just bring her in and she can give her thoughts on Phase 1 through 3 as well.
Sure.
Hey, Tori, where can we find
Tori.
you?
Oh, hi, kids.
Yeah, let's give you a proper intro first. Yeah.
You can find me on Instagram at Tori_Sheehan and on Instagram at smtori and on Twitter at Tori_Sheehan. That's me. You'll find me there. Deeply distressed that I was left out of the first 3, but I guess I'll just comment along. No, it's my father was a huge Marvel fan, and I think I've told this story before, but
your dad's great. I love your dad.
He is someone who a lot of people love, and he was a big Thor guy, and he got super into. He loves Robert Downey Jr. He quotes things from Iron Man from all of these movies so much, and it's not the ones you think he would. I get asked, where's my cheeseburger all the time. I of course love these movies. I think I'm a deep Dark World Thor apologist.
Everyone's got a few.
Everyone's got one where they're just like, no, you guys, you don't understand. But I think Phase 1, Phase 2 are super strong. I think Phase 3 freaking comes at you so hard. I mean, I'm an original follower of HTML, so I will constantly listen to you guys talk about these episodes all day, every day. Who doesn't love a second story train?
Daytime upstairs train.
Daytime upstairs train. Yeah.
Tori, I do have a gift for you.
Oh, do tell.
Tori actually is a big fan of my.
This is
very
about
first
Phantom.
podcast.
I swear to God.
No, it's not. That's coming in a minute. But Tori, because I absolutely have Phantom stuff planned for the upcoming stuff. But
Right. We'll talk about it.
Tori's a fan of my first ever podcast, a little show called Now and Again with Dr. Chris Podcasts, who is a super cool guy. Could not be more in love with the dude.
I also have a lot of thoughts about the tracks on Now and Again. Now that's what I call music thought.
Well, all I'm saying is, Tori, I am here to bracketeer through every now, that's what I call music with you, to your heart's desire. Beginning to end. We're not even reviving it. We're doing it different. We're getting the band back together.
I'll do it. I'll be there.
I just I think it's time. I think there's been enough space, and I want to be Mickey Dolenz. So
let's do it. For sure. But yeah, no. I think so much of what the Marvel Universe did in these first 3 phases is to say we can do genre movies, we can do sequels, we can reinvent what it means to be a superhero. You know, if DC is all about having the secret identities, Marvel Universe for so long was anti-secret identities. I'm pretty sure the only one who still has a secret identity is Spider-Man, and that's because he erased everyone's mind. Like a lesbian witch in the aughts. So,
or maybe like he knows the purple children.
We're not going there yet. I'm waiting for them to show up in another comic book thing.
My relationship with the purple children is so awkward.
Right. So yeah. So like I'm a person who loves that for these. I love the taking the superhero into a new current world. Because it's very difficult to have a secret identity now. What's the old meme, like Lois Lane uploads a photo of her and Clark Kent, and someone is like, "Would you like to tag Superman?" And it's like,
Yeah.
So...
I want to watch Superman and Lois because I love Tyler Hoechlin, but it's stuff like that where I'm like, how does that even work today?
Good luck having a clone.
It's also so overwrought.
I mean, I hear it's better than people give it credit for. So
it is definitely, I think, better than people give it credit for. There are just so many moments where I'm just like, crack a fucking smile, somebody.
Yeah. There should
I really
always
love
be more
that.
joy.
Thank you for changing my life with that joke.
but yeah, like I love that for this. I love that we are able to say like you can go back and tell a story that happened before the other stories. Do I think that means that we should have waited that long for this Black Widow movie that's coming up in Phase 4? No, but we got one, so we get to have it where we get to have it. So.
And Red Guardian being the gay bear icon no one saw coming.
I mean, you had to wait for him to get famous on Stranger Things to be able to do this movie, I guess. So,
do we have any more on 1 through 3, or are we
really quick? One of the things that just really impresses me about it, and I just find it, I shouldn't even say impresses me, it's just notable and it's different, is I was saying when we were talking about Phase 1, it's just so much chaos and so many unwritten rules. And when you think about like chaotic times, it seems like there is a lot of stuff. And then you focus in, you put the rules and the structure in there, and it gets clearer. And it gets kind of simplified and it calms down. And the MCU, the more rules, the more structure that is imposed upon it, the more it expands and the more possibilities that come into play. Those early movies, it really does not feel like there is a ton there. And it just feels like the chaos is a lack of order, not an abundance of stuff. And the more order you find imposed, the more stuff ends up being built upon it. And that's just a really interesting thing to see. And I think we are looking at a little while longer of reckoning with the rules and the order that were imposed from the genesis of this entire idea. And we are going to really need, and I'm so glad I used that phrase, because a regenesis when the X-Men show up, because it's going to need to be something different at that time. And I'm really excited to see what that is. But I also think it's pretty cool that we'll have done like 6 phases before we have to go there. And they each just really, I think, keep getting better. I do think Phase 4 is really fantastic. I'm stoked to talk about it right now.
If anyone's ever had a really good professor in educational study, right? Anyone who's ever had a professor that's like, well, so, okay, in my other life, I'm a technical writer at times, right? And I write instructional manuals, let's go with, right? And one of the things that my teacher, who is like, I mean, she had such an enormous impact on me as a person. Her name was Lori, and she said to me one day, did you ever have somebody give you the peanut butter example? And I'm like, well, peanut butter is my favorite. There's literally a jar of peanut butter on the floor next to me so that I can eat it if I need to while on camera. And she was like, great. How do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And I'm like, well, you get the bread, the peanut butter, and the jelly. You spread one on one, you spread one on the other, and you combine them. And she was like, where did you get the peanut butter? And I'm like, oh, I got it from the store. And she's like, what's a store? And I was like, what in God's name are you getting at, woman? And she was like, because everything has to start somewhere. And if you assume that everybody knows everything you do, you will always miss a step. And something that the MCU chose to do is it chose to tell us how to make the peanut butter. And it chose to tell us how to make the jelly. And that sometimes means that some of the adventures are driving to the store to pick up the ingredients. And when you are trying to create an experience that matches a holistic linear experience, like the act of surviving a universe, when you're trying to paint that tapestry, you're going to always wind up with steps along the way that throw people off. And I just think it's really great that the MCU has chosen to build those steps in and grow with them, as evidenced in every moment of Phase 4. Which I don't think is a great phase, but I love a lot of the films individually.
I definitely think that... Oh, go ahead, Kevo.
No, I just... real quick, it's that I don't even think it's an awful phase, and I think everyone is treating it like it's garbage, and I think that these are such extreme reactions, and I think reasonably, I think the worst you can say is like it's not the best, but like there's actual garbage movies and TV shows. You know the difference, and people are just being so needlessly inflammatory. And my thing is always, it's just people loved that moment from Endgame, people loved Portals, and it caught so many people's attention, people who aren't normally comic book people, and so everyone wants everything to be Portals now. And when it's not, it's trash. But it's exactly what you said. It's the ingredients. Not everything is Portals.
Yep. And I think also what we're seeing is a lot of people chasing the feeling they had 7 years ago, and a lot of people coming into it late, picking and choosing which movies they want to see just to be cool in the zeitgeist, and not really understanding that like there's a lot that goes into this. We are very lucky in the MCU that we don't really have we're going to redo, like once you get past the fact that what I'm saying is since we started the MCU, we haven't redone Spider-Man 5 times.
Yeah.
We have had the same Spider-Man. We've had the same Iron Man. We've had the same, like when new directors
it's even been the same Hulk, even when it's been a different actor.
Right. Like when
and that's hard.
Right. That's hard. And it's also because people now are looking like every time a new director comes in, it's their take on a new Batman. It's their take on a new hero. And we don't really have that. We have, no, you get what you get, and you make it, you can tell a facet of it on your own, but you can't, Thor is still Thor even when Taika Waititi shows up.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of people would call a huge change from the previous two. But it's still the same Thor. It's still the same Loki. The relationships are exactly the same. They're just, there's the Instagram filter has shifted.
And Phase 4 has not been cohesive. Was not cohesive. I realize now we are in Phase 5. Wow. And the trade-off for that is that we got a bunch of cool different stuff. It's a real just melting pot mixed bag. It is not the tightly controlled, this has to lead to this, has to lead to this. We're starting to get places where there are going to be dangling plot threads. We are starting to get seeds that are planted without a very obvious pickup point in the near future. Just the suggestion of potential rather than the suggestion for the specific picking up on that potential later in the phase or in the next phase. And to me, that's all really cool, because what it means is that we got to experiment a lot. This is where we got our first series, and we got many series. And there's just so much stuff in this phase that doesn't flow together cohesively, and that is a marked difference. And I think in the future they'll be able to do a phase that is this diverse and also a little bit more coherent. But for me, it was worth it for things like Moon Knight, WandaVision, Miss Marvel, for all the ways that they are not perfect. They are so cool.
And if I can just add to that, the only thing I would have done is I honestly would have maybe taken each one of these films, added 30 minutes and called it a show. Because, the fact that I think Wakanda Forever was as long as What If is kind of wild. What If is like 10, 20-minute episodes. And then, not really, it's 40 to 62, I know. But it's just, the difference is so staggering.
I think that's wrong. I think you're closer to correct.
Yeah,
just going up.
Oh, good, because I tried to save face when I saw a number.
No. It's like,
and Eternals is so long that with an extra 20 minutes, it could have been 5 episodes of amazing television. Black Widow, if you had said, you know what, the film didn't come out the way it was supposed to, there is a film. What if we film 4 episodes starring Yelena? Kevo, I see you have fingers up.
No, I'm waiting for you to finish your point. That was all.
Hop in.
Well, and I also I created some graphics years ago when we, were getting back to covering HTML. And it's part of what I want to discuss in talking about Phase 4 as well, and that I'm really hyped to talk about and really affects so much of what Phase 4 is specifically even what was announced, and then due to pandemic and everything else, the way that it ended up getting released. And I really feel like a huge part of what affected these movies and what ended up making Eternals be nearly 3 hours long, probably even is how long they were sat on and then ultimately released. Eternals got pushed back how many times? It was originally supposed to come out November of 2020.
Jeez.
And then it didn't get released until November of 2021. All of these things really probably affected the directors getting in their heads about exactly what they wanted to represent. And I think the why can't I think of what their names are though?
The Celestials?
I was like, the Ancients. It's stuff like that too. There's so many plates spinning right now. Celestials are clearly something that is going to be important, but important what? Because I doubt Celestials are going to interact with Kang, and Kang is what we are gearing up toward at the end of this multiversal saga. So I think something people are reacting to as well is introducing a lot of concepts that people want satisfied very quickly, even though the Infinity Saga took literally 11 years.
Yeah,
you're somehow expecting within 2 years all of this stuff to be fully satisfied, even with all this content.
Yeah, I definitely feel like people are expecting it's like when Guardians of the Galaxy happened, it should have been an absolute bomb. There's no public real knowledge of these characters. It's completely separate from anything that we've touched before. It has to do with some really big concepts. Space is a whole other thing. And because it was packaged the way that it got to be a hit, and they were able to move forward quickly and with everyone excited about it. I think that by the way that they didn't do as good of a job with packaging Eternals or Shang-Chi,
best damn movie.
But you have to admit that it is not the most beloved by the general public. These movies are seen as, don't bother, they're boring, they have nothing to do with anything, etc.
Actually, I have a boyfriend who's like he's a little bit older, and he does not love superhero movies. And I was like, come see this movie with me because Shang-Chi means a lot to me. And he was like, okay, I'll go. And he went, and as I'm watching it, was like, oh my God, he's going to be so bored. He's never going to forgive me because this movie is not what I thought it was going to be. And then, you know what, though? It wound up being a lot of fun in a lot of exciting, cool ways. And I think it wound up doing what I wanted. But ultimately, I think I do agree with you. I think I just wanted to clarify my immediate defense of the film because I think you're right.
Yeah. Like, I love these films. I really enjoyed Eternals, actually. And
it's a very Tory movie.
It is. It's like how people are like, the first Thor is weird. And I'm like, but it's Kenneth Branagh, so it's fine. I very much think that people want new things to feel like how Guardians felt at the time, and when it doesn't, it gets panned.
Yeah, they want it to be really fun for them personally at all times. Mm-hmm. And Ali Galactic says, this era is a dark era for me. Only liked Holiday Special, Thor, and Wakanda Forever. Everything else put me to sleep.
Does that include like She-Hulk and stuff? I just want to know, like, does that include like She-Hulk and Werewolf by Night?
And Ms. Marvel.
I am curious to know because I think I'm a little more pleased with a lot of the stuff. She-Hulk, another fantastic example. I really loved Moon Knight. I think it's weird, and I don't think that
she says yes.
It set off to it achieved everything it set out to, but I think it is unique and fun. Eternals is a really good example of, Tori, what you were saying, which is I don't think it's very fun. But for me, I don't always need it to be fun to find it really enjoyable and rewarding. And I think there was no real plan for, what if we make a big alien superhero spectacle family movie, but it's not fun? How do we make that a thing that people want to get into? And instead it was just kind of like, here it is, watch it, shrug. And you do kind of have to have the mentality of like, I want to go enjoy this. And then I want to tell people. And then when you do that and you're like, oh, everybody's yelling at me and telling me to shut up. You just kind of keep it to yourself and wait till you find a kindred spirit.
Yeah.
Which we all had, because Werewolf by Night is actually my favorite Marvel project ever.
Oh, it's so high up there for me.
It's like that and Daredevil, the TV show, are like my two absolute favorite projects that were Loki, Ali Galactic. And, I just want to say, like, Ali, something I so am like grateful for is I don't know that there's anybody who better represents total fandom than Ali. And if anybody wants, like, check out Ali's amazing Twitter for an example of what like a fan of this stuff is and the versatility of being a fan. And I think I don't love that you sat through a lot of stuff you didn't love. That's never what I want for anybody at all, period, let alone somebody who I think has great taste. But I specifically think that there's stuff in a universe that you love that you didn't enjoy, but you're still able to interact with the universe is a hallmark of the quality pillars that the Marvel universe is based on. Because I don't see anybody saying here in our comments, F this I'm done. It's that there's this opportunity to come and go from a universe. Like, I'm going to be honest, and I feel so weird saying it, but I'm about ready to walk away from pretty much everything comics for just a minute. I'm going to keep reading it all for the show, but it's not going to be the same level of emotional connection, same level of depth, same level of investment, same level of reading, but I don't have the emotional connection right now. Daredevil has it for me. I'm really excited that Ed Brisson is doing Alpha Flight. I don't mean to be that fanboy, but I am absolutely counting down the days till that first issue of Alpha Flight, maybe a little bit. But other than that, Torrin Grunbeck having an X-Men book is the greatest day of my life. That is easily the greatest day of my life. Starring, Tori, Typhoid Mary is an X-Man in a Torrin Grunbeck book.
Ooh.
It's literally your fandom on a page.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, Ali. Ali, that's exactly how I feel. X-Men has lost me in the comics right now, but I'm dying for it to pull me back in. These guys are all really positive on phase 4. I'm not. I hated this as a phase. WandaVision is one of my favorite shows ever. Falcon and Winter Soldier said a lot of things that I found really important. And I don't think enough people talk about Anthony Mackie being literally one of the most unbelievably fit men to ever be a superhero in a TV show. And I think that has to do with the double standard that we consider black men to be often more fit than white men in the same roles. And I just think that that is absolute racism, because the work that Anthony Mackie put in to look like that should not be chalked up to the color of his skin, but rather the content of the strength of his character to commit to something as insane as the regimen it must have taken to look like Captain America. And 1,000% unbelievable credit to him for everything he did to fulfill that role. He was the best part of that show by far.
Yeah.
Oh, and Bucky Barnes is hot.
Yeah, I definitely think the shows really smashed it in this phase. And I think the newness of them and the excitement of the format also left the movies a little behind.
I think it's tough because the two that we really expected to be great and needed to be great to kind of be a gap bridger and capstone, and they had a lot of function, were Doctor Strange and Thor. And they were not great. They were good.
Well, I think Doctor Strange as well was... I think some of this content in general suffers from a lot of obfuscation of what the content was even going to be.
Yes,
I think that was a huge part of the disappointment of Doctor Strange. We didn't even know what to expect.
Failure of expectation setting.
And then we got this... How long is it again? 126-minute movie. Not what we were expecting.
Yeah, it really was not what we were expecting. And, kind of on the opposite track, Black Widow didn't really need to do anything. I had no expectations for it. The character's dead. It's not, there's nothing lingering. But Black Widow is one of my favorite movies of the phase for a lot of different reasons. I found it very fun. I really don't like Scarlett Johansson at all as an actor. I really don't like how she's used as Black Widow, but getting her in a Bechdel test passing role with Florence Pugh, and Florence Pugh being so fun and carrying that over into Hawkeye. There's so much about Black Widow that I just really love. And I think a big chunk of that was that the expectations game for that film was at absolute zero. And by contrast, Doctor Strange and Thor both really promised us that they were going to say and do and be a lot that they were never really capable of being. And it just felt like Marvel couldn't stop themselves from overhyping.
Yeah.
Well, the Disney machine, like something that I'm grateful for. And this is something that TK and I were talking about earlier today, without getting too like, oh, the world, oh, ba-doo, but like, I think that there are a lot of jobs that could get outsourced to AI, but something that's going to need to happen is a lot of companies are going to need to band together to afford the AI protocols. And it's going to mean that we see a lot more conglomerate projects, and we're going to see a lot more things like Disney making the MCU. And that means we need to get used to this sort of corporatized involvement. Disney can't stop itself. And you know what? Good. I have Disney stock. Don't stop yourselves. Keep making me money.
And it's based off of source material too. It's not it's an adaptation of decades of work.
And that's what it's tough. They can't stop because these people need paychecks.
I think also it's about the fact that I think the Marvel movies that do the worst or leave the worst taste in our mouths are the ones that are trying to do multiple things at once.
Great
and
point.
I think that Thor: Love and Thunder and Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness both suffer from that sin, where they were like, Thor: Love and Thunder was built to be kind of like Thor has gone out with the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's going to have some romps, etc. And then they were like, well, what if also we bring in Lady Thor? And then we're trying to do these two things at once, and you both get it's like how your scanner, copier, printer is not excellent at any of those things. It's fine at all. And like, and the same with Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. Multiverse of Madness, we were like, Sam Raimi's doing this, we're going to get a horror show, it's going to be exciting, Wanda's probably involved, blah blah blah. And then we also had all of this like stuff from the What If for Doctor Strange, and it's all of this nonsense. The Wanda stuff was so heavy, it was trying to fire on too many cylinders.
Yeah.
And I think that Marvel movies work best when they have a focus in and then a focus out. And I think when you're trying to do two of those at once, we can't keep our eye on both balls at the same time.
I think that's so on point, and especially the idea of a focus in and a focus out. And I think it applies all the way around. I think maybe if you're lucky, your third thing is solid genre movie. If you have a character that really, like, whatever their internal gimmick in has a focus, whatever their larger meaning to the MCU is has a focus, and then they have a really good genre. It's the Captain Marvel as a 90s movie being a very good example of exactly what you're saying.
I just expect to see Ben Stiller's unbelievable abdominal section.
And I mean,
it was a loss that we didn't have somebody like that.
Yeah. I mean, I would also, and I hate to say this because I loved Wakanda Forever. Yeah. But Wakanda Forever suffers from almost the same thing.
Yes.
It is.
I love it too, but you're right.
Trying to put Wakanda back together, deal with the passing of the character. And I think that it short shrifted what Atlantis means and what Namor means.
Yeah, it's because they were doing so much already, and then they set Namor up as an antagonist. He ended up being a villain. Mm-hmm. And
a very handsome villain that I would run away with in a hot second.
That's the thing.
I run that way. That's
if
me.
He's their antagonist, then what you really have to do, I feel, for Namor's sake, for the sake of the character, is figure out how to give us some moments of him being like, I see where he's coming from. I might be an Atlantean, not a Wakandan. And they don't quite get there, and it's because they are also doing about 15 other things, including having to memorialize Chadwick Boseman, which is one of the things they do phenomenally well, and it is just so tragic and sad and funereal, and dealing with grief through a Marvel blockbuster is insane, but they actually kill it, and the fact that they do that makes it very excusable that they don't necessarily nail Namor, but the fact is that they don't, and so we're left with this movie that maybe ought to have been 2 movies that were released, 6 months apart or something like that.
I actually have a different argument. I feel like it could have been shorter. Just a little bit.
Okay.
For me, the moment that Wakanda Forever sort of fell apart as a movie was the second escalation. In movies, there's always the they have to rally again. They think that they've defeated the bad guy and that everything's going to be okay. But then I don't remember even exactly what it was because we watched it a few weeks ago and it's so long we haven't rewatched it yet. But it's the final act, the second escalation. I was like, I thought this movie was over, and it's so far into it, and it had a good conclusion. You didn't need to raise the stakes again. Like, we don't need to go Super Saiyan every single movie. It makes me think of, there's a thing that started happening on Power Rangers, which we're going to talk about next week on our broadcast when we cover Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always, which is the reunion special coming up. And in Power Rangers in Space, which was like the 6th season, they started translating over something from the Sentai series, which was a Red Ranger power-up. There was something that the Red Ranger was given at some point during the season where he presses a button and he gets like a super suit, basically. And that's something that started happening every season. And it was such an escalation of the Power Ranger format. And I feel like that's something that's happened to superhero movies too, where now there is this final battle, second escalation, where you have to raise the stakes once again because the movie can't just end. And that's where it really sort of lost me, mostly just from exhaustion. I just want to see the characters resolve their issues. And if you keep having them fight over and over again, it's the thing you were talking about, where Namor can't be more villain than just antagonist that they come to a good conclusion with.
Now, I'm going to say something on air that's going to be a little throw off for my team, but it seems like discussing phases 1 through 4 took maybe a little bit more of the body of energy than would allow us to play our traditional game of 1 second, guys. Sorry about
Oh
that.
no, I'm ready to bracketeer.
Oh, yeah. So I think maybe the better thing to do would be to save phase 5 and 6 speculation for our next MCU video. And at this point, maybe give some wrap up thoughts on the films that exist and look to reflect on phase 4. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah,
Right?
sure.
Let's do it.
I'll still bring up the
Oh, please do, because
info.
I definitely want to talk about this stuff. I just don't think we have the opportunity to
hard.
discuss it in the same capacity, and I'd love to throw this up next week at the weekend after next when we currently don't have any shows scheduled. So we have a number of films coming up, and I think so much of what's coming up in phase 5 is almost daunting. We have Captain America, New World Order. We have Thunderbolts, which just received major rewrites. And one of the things I love about the major rewrites on Thunderbolts is it's to deprioritize Yelena Belova.
Really? They said
And
that.
the reason I think it's terrific is because they realized that they had treated the original draft as a sequel to Black Widow instead of treating it as Thunderbolts. And they want to do a film that is more true to Thunderbolts and give Yelena other places to shine because they know what
Makes
money
sense.
they have in her. No one thinks they're telling Florence Pugh you're taking less scenes, but they did just write in Steve Yeun, and I think that is significant.
Yeah, and this is another phase where, again, hold on, I'm not on the right page. So many changes have already happened since the announcement.
And so many things are by design still to come, still to change, still to be announced.
Yeah.
Which will be interesting to see. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know I'm looking forward to, Coven of Chaos, Daredevil, some of the later things. But right now, especially as of this week, all I can think about, all I am focused on, I am so excited for the Marvels. Guardians is going to be great, I'm sure. Big thumbs up to Guardians. The Marvels trailer got me so jazzed. It looks so fun. I love Brie Larson. I love Iman Vellani. I think I love Monica Rambeau, Teyonah Parris. I just think it's going to be such a fantastic film. And it's another one of those films that I see that there is a vocal minority. I know it's a minority. I know it's not the majority of the audience, but they are so intent on taking over the conversation. Just talking shit about a female-led film, talking, putting Brie Larson down. And the more that happens, the more I get excited about it because it just feels like one of those, if you're pissing them off, it's working moments. And I think it looks so fun. And I'm so proud of Iman Vellani for making the transition from TV to film at such a young age so seamlessly.
Agreed.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, definitely amped for the Marvels movies. I'm excited to see what the next phase of the TV shows are going to be like. I definitely getting Loki season 2 is super exciting for me. Whenever it happens. So I'm just, I'm amped to see what's next and to catch up because there's a couple of things I haven't seen yet.
Nico, you're muted.
And obviously, thank you so much for knowing what my gesticulation looks like.
Yeah, bye-bye.
I would just like to take a moment and remind everybody that there is nothing in this world that I am as excited about at all as I am about Born Again coming up. This is just about the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As a guy who... there is more Daredevil stuff in this house than there is any other fictional character in the world. Number 2 is actually probably John Constantine with Wolverine in number 3. So as a Daredevil guy, This is just about the best day of my life. I am so excited about, which I can only describe this way, as Black Wonder Man. And the reason I want to call it that is because nobody gives a shit about White Wonder Man. So maybe if we let Black audiences know that this character, who is clearly being redesigned from the ground up, is being redesigned with Black audiences in mind, they'll know that there are people out there trying to create media that fits their needs, not that panders, you know, the way Black Panther fit their needs. And I think as somebody who isn't a part of the Black audience, I can't speak to what that's like, but I hope that what Marvel is doing is right by people of color, the way that what Marvel is doing is not remotely right by the Latino audience or the queer audience, two audiences I am a part of that I feel completely insulted by Marvel across the board.
And Wonder Man's such an interesting example because he has ended up from basically the 90s onward being kind of a dud. But prior to that, he was a pretty big deal. Like, writers especially really wanted him to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And he's really heavily situated in Marvel plot and meta plot goings on. He is quite literally the blueprint for Vision in the comics. So, like, there are ways in which he's this incredibly important character, and nobody really, like, we have too many great characters. Some have to fall by the wayside, but what it means is any place that he has been important, in the comics can be changed and adapted for the screen to make him that important again. So you might see him and think, oh, we're just getting this kind of cast-off character, but we're actually getting a character that could be foundational to the next version of the Avengers, to any number of different teams and plot lines that are coming up, because there's still so many huge crossover plot lines that we've never done before. And, you know, Wonder Man being an actor, the MCU being like such an entertainment tied thing, there's a ton of opportunity. And that is one of the things that I think is so cool about this franchise and projects overall, is that there's still a ton of characters like this. Like, there is still the possibility for a queer leading character that is that person for queer people, that,
okay,
you know, their comic presence. What's that?
He's being shady.
Yeah, I'm just sitting over here, Bianca Del Rio, with my legs crossed, trying to figure out what they have missed about the number. Like, I know Young Avengers, great, but like, why are we talking about token queers? Yeah. Like, we're talking about that there are going to be, you know, Shang-Chi, not step enough, but we are also going to have Asian leads in additional projects like Thunderbolts. We have Asian leads in things like Eternals, and that's finally doing a little bit better by the Asian community. We have finally done a little bit better by the Black community, and we have miles upon miles to go. It is both the Pretenders count of miles and the Proclaimers count of miles. It's all the miles. It's Vanessa Carlton. And I feel like there isn't a lot of work for the queer community, and there isn't a lot of work for the Latino community. And I just can't help but feel that my money is green as well.
I really want to jump back to something that TK was talking about, where he pointed out that Wonder Man could potentially be involved in the future of the Avengers and the avenues through which there are so many ways that this franchise could still explore. Because something that we talked about when She-Hulk was on air and had Daredevil on was the time that Matt Murdock spent in San Francisco in the comics, and all of the things that there are to pull from the comics that could be translated onto screen. And, you know, as also obviously a queer man who's married to the guy up there, you know, I am also not thrilled with queer representation so far in the MCU, but I know one thing, and I have faith in another thing. One thing I know is that there has been a lot of changes in leadership when it comes to who has a majority creative control over what is going on with these franchises. And so that is going to be changing a lot of things going forward. And I frankly have a lot of faith in Disney when it comes to caring about and representing the queer community. They have really been stepping up more and more Watch, they're going to make me eat my words, and they won't have a Pride special on Disney Plus this year. Don't do it. Have your annual Pride special, because there have been at least 2 so far. There are so many queer characters on Disney television programs, on Disney children's television programming, in their films, and they are really, really, really being an ally to the queer community. And so I have faith and hope that that will trickle down, trickle up, trickle in every direction to affect the MCU as well, because it's important. And we don't deserve to be put off, frankly. You know, I don't want to have to store all of my hope on the possibility of getting Billy and Teddy whenever that might happen. That's ridiculous. We need to have a lot more characters than that, and we need to be seeing a lot more places. That just needs to be a thing that they also do.
Yeah,
Well-
you know, having Loki say a bit of both, or having a pride pin on America Chavez. Like, these are all pointing towards things that will eventually probably happen for, if not for America Chavez, then for many more people. I think we're going to see some visibility soon, hopefully, but the fact that we haven't is still, you know, unfortunate. So,
Well, I don't want to give TK. I mean, I think I rage gayed at the world in the middle of TK talking. So I would love to give TK a chance to finish his thought before I bring us to break.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think one of the big things I was saying was that, like, there are characters that could be a queer icon. And, you know, we did follow up on that a bunch. So, like, I think that possibility is still there. Disney, be brave. It's not really that big a deal at this point. You want to really be brave, give us a trans icon, give us a drag queen icon.
Please.
You know,
Please.
the world will survive if you do these things.
And please give us every version of a drag icon, every version of a trans icon, every version of a gender non-binary icon, and a gender queer icon, and just these things that express the multitude of beauty in the human spirit.
Yep. They exist. Everybody's fine. You're very scared of a vocal minority. And I get it. We all are. It's very scary when people are loud, but
just clit up.
You know, my other thing about it is, like, if you are a fan of this stuff broadly and maybe don't know everything, you know, Wonder Man is a really good example of, like, this could actually be a great thing. Even though you might think you're getting kind of a B-list or a cast off, you actually might be getting a really good run up to something that, you know,
the next Deadpool.
What's that?
The next Deadpool.
The next Deadpool.
Yeah, the next Deadpool. And something that you really, a community and a culture can adopt and make their own. And that can...
I'd never heard of Iron Man before, and now look at, you know.
Yep. I think Ironheart is another example of somebody that just, like, you know, isn't huge in the comics, but is so attached to a legacy and really could be big in the films. Miss Marvel, I mean, just is so huge on every level, and I think in such an important way for teens, for people in the Muslim community. I think we are at, this is part of what is cool about Phase 4 and now Phase 5, is this mishmash of stuff that is not cohesive, but is just opportunities all over the place. So,
like a buffet.
Yeah.
Well, as is a buffet's way, we are also a buffet, and we now make it a habit to play a game every single episode if we can help it, because nothing says celebrating fandom like taking a look at it in the silliest of ways. And when we come back from our short break, oh, no, timeout. Little celebrating Ironheart, Ali Galactic, fan with all the best thoughts. Who, by the way, I just, you know, I love the language that Ali wrote a little bit earlier. when she wrote, like, I know I'm being negative, but I've stuff. I just didn't love all of it.
Fair.
Personally, as someone born in the 80s, hey, and living through decades between superhero movies or Star Wars movies, I am loving all the stuff we're swimming in nowadays. And that's how we feel, which is why next week we're going to be taking a look at Power Rangers once and again. We're also going to be taking a look at the Freevee series Jury Duty, because I became obsessed with it instantly and everybody was like, yeah, this is a lot of fun. And so we're going to have a lot of fun with that. From there, we're going to take a look at Picard and Mandalorian season finales on Sunday. So we are celebrating this era of good. And I cannot wait to come back from break and talk a little bit more about that. But enjoy this quick commercial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we're going to see you guys in just 2 minutes. Listen, Sean, you can't call yourself a diva if you don't do at least 3 outfit changes. This is a Bob Mackie. It's a Bob Cappy.
But what happens if you've done like 5? I'm counting each hat as an outfit change.
It's actually why I changed my shirt, because I realized that my record of outfit changes is 4, and I realized that if I changed one more time, it would be a record number of outfit changes, and so I did.
She's a winner, baby.
Good for you.
Wow.
Couldn't be thinner.
Also, TK, can we just get over? Can we never get look at his effing perfect, that's a Slinger's jacket if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
Little whip hat. Switched my jersey over to Spidey. Ready to go.
What is that jersey from?
I got it for JoJo or him for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the Slingers?
It's Web Slingers. And then the other one I was wearing was Iron Man.
The Iron Man one I recognize.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that Slingers one later.
I'll link it to you on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So it's bracket time, guys.
So, guys, we decided that because my dream in life is to be Goodman Todd. Again, man, Tori, I get why your dad finds me funny. I get why your dad finds me funny.
I know.
God.
It's yeah.
The only thing funnier than me is switching between Darren's on Bewitched. So when we decided this show was going to be a game show, and I was like, TK, what could we do to make a game out of something? And he was like, what do you want to do? And, I've got one coming up, Deal Breakers. And, Kevo, you produce every minute of this show visually. And Tori, we just worship you. And
Yours the best, Tori.
Oh,
you are the best.
That's its own job. Being the best is its own job.
Yeah.
Shortcuts is going to be like a thought game where we have to think about the most essential episodes of a season or a show to binge it quickly. So you know what? It's like a thought game.
Yeah.
So I'll take Shortcuts.
I cannot be a part of.
And Kevin, you're kind of like a sexy Dana Carvey in that outfit.
Ooh, I see it.
I'll take it.
Oh,
I see it.
I don't hate it.
It's like a really sexy Dana Carvey look, which I
Never found a good haircut, but a very handsome man.
Very handsome man and unbelievably funny. But that's kind of like the humor that I think actually runs through bracketeering. Like, it's the silliness, the avant-gardeness. It's the remarkable challenge. And because it's a game that we're evolving, right? It's sort of like watching the Rita Moreno pilot for Empty Nests and then watching Empty Nest, where they're completely unrelated programs. We're changing bracketeering step by step, the way that for the Drag Race episode, it was technically called fracketeering.
And I have started referring to these types that we're doing. Yeah, I'm not getting
Yeah,
that.
don't.
I am starting to refer to these types that we're doing as wildcard brackets.
Yeah.
With a wildcard bracket, it's a different question for every pairing, and the winner truly does not matter. This is a thought experiment. This is a chance to talk about things from a different angle and have a little fun. And don't worry, I know it is very important to everybody that we continue to do our standard brackets in which it's all one rubric and everybody is being held to the same standard. And we will.
It's all I hear.
It's all there. We're going to continue to do those, but for this time around, because, doing for the MCU, it would be so difficult to do best. And the comparisons would be really tough. I don't know that the most fun thing is any superlative battle. So for this, there'll be superlatives, but like, for instance, the first question is, what is the best film to cuddle up and watch on a winter night? And in a second, I'll show you what your 2 options are, and then we're going to talk it out.
Wait, TK, did these 2 not make you fill out a full ranking of your MCU movies to be friends
Not
with
yet.
them?
Can I be honest with you, Tori?
I looked that shit up.
So much of you, Tori, taught us how to be better people. So it's so funny. I laugh the hardest when you're on the show, Tori. I quote you the most on the show.
I hear I was dead the other day.
I bring you up on the phone the most.
Also true.
You are like my go-to, and this is a person. Like, if you want like a person, It's that thing. It's exactly that thing Leo McGarry says. Okay, I get it, but there's a way to be a person about this stuff. You're a person, and so that is why you are always here.
Thank you. But also, I did pull up that sheet when you guys started talking about top threes, and I was like, "What were my top three?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't tell people about this. There's too many asterisks involved."
Thrilled. Okay, Teak, you are King Daddy right now.
Yeah,
you are the one throwing the Mardi Gras cakes
master.
our way.
So as I said, we're diving right in. What's the best film to watch on a cold winter's night? And our choices are Iron Man 3 or Captain America: Winter Soldier.
I think it's got to be Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier's got a little bit more of like that romantic arc. Iron Man 3. Wait, is it on a winter's night or on a cold night?
Oh, wait.
Iron Man 3 is a Christmas movie. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
This is why he's doing this to us.
Oh, did you plan it like that, or is this just that random and that funny?
Everything is randomized for this one. The slotting is randomized.
Really?
That's
Questions
great.
are randomized.
Wow,
That's great.
It's one of the things, like, all of us are producers. Oh, Allie's playing. Oh my gosh. Allie, if you want to have a vote every time, that would be so amazing, because there's 4 of us and we need a tiebreaker.
Oh,
yeah,
I was not going to vote, but now I will throw my words in the ring a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh, phew. Okay. I am voting Iron Man 3 because I did remember the Christmas connection, and it's a little bit Gordon Lightfoot song for a winter's night. The lamp is burning low upon my tabletop. Any Canadians who are listening, that is a perfect song. Thank you.
I see in an idealized fantasy world where Tori is not herself, she would definitely snuggle up with another human under a warm blanket and watch Iron Man 3 because it is the perfect Christmas movie, etc. But
we went on a date to that movie.
We did, and it was a great date. However, we currently live in a global warming world, and I try not to watch Christmas movies the rest of winter because it's upsetting. And so I would say Captain America: Winter Soldier, which I think that means we're 3-3.
We can't be 3 and 3 because there's only 5 of us.
There's only 5 of us.
Okay.
So you're safe.
All right.
Yeah, but Tori, I'm with you. Slightly different reasoning, but I just feel like Captain America: Winter Soldier has more of that thriller intrigue vibe.
But that's Netflix and chill.
Right, because in my brain,
Don't worry, that's coming up.
This is the world in which I was dating a guy who was like, come over, let's watch Ocean's 11. And I was like, I love heist movies. I like handsome men. Let's go. And then he tried to start something. And I was like, whoa, we haven't even gotten to the casino yet.
Watching a movie, sir.
So Captain America: Winter Soldier is not the movie that you Netflix and chill to for me.
Yeah.
It's got to go to Iron Man.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to Iron Man. We got the 3 votes. So congratulations, Pepper and Tony. Good luck with that baby. I'm sure everything will turn out okay.
What did Allie say?
Iron Man does whatever an iron can.
Allie said 3.
Yeah.
Allie said 3. Wow.
That was how it happened.
Okay, and now we're talking about Avengers: Infinity War versus the original Avengers movie.
Oh!
And the thing we got to know is, which movie would make for a better Mystery Science Theater 3000?
Avengers. Okay, I feel good saying this. There's like one truly bad line in all of Avengers: Infinity War, and it's broke up like the Beatles. I don't know how a man that beautiful can deliver a line that clunky, but it sure happens. When there's like 9 bad lines in Avengers, 9, that's it, 9, but 9.
But here's my question. Have they watched the ones before this, or are they coming in clean? Because if they're coming in clean, Infinity War is the way more what the fuck movie than Avengers
That is a fantastic point.
I'm still voting Avengers.
How are they almost the same length? Avengers is 143 and Infinity War is 149. I was going to say, well, I feel like Infinity War is longer, so probably not that. But nope, that's not the barometer then.
Oh, wait. Superfan Galactica says...
Sorry.
Wait.
I was putting it up.
Yeah. That happens all the time. You confuse the polarity.
The neutron flow.
So yes, we got our vote for Ali from Ali Galactic on Avengers, which part of me feels like it's always fun when it's a more polished film because there's such a history of it being a non-polished film. So when you at this point in the game and in broadly the science of commentary movies, you take something that should ostensibly be good and you still find so many flaws in it, that's a real killer. And the reason why I, too, am going to go with Avengers is because I think even with that rubric and formula in mind, Avengers is still a very polished film that withstands scrutiny far less than Infinity War would.
That and I just love everything the MST3K folk have been doing these last couple of years. One of the best Patreon, or what did we do, Kevin? Yep. We did a Kickstarter, Indiegogo.
Yeah.
Whatever we did.
I love Emily, the new person in the theater. She's great.
Here, I'm actually going to switch me and Kevo because his cute face can't keep getting covered.
Oh, you're fine. I don't care.
We'll just rotate everybody like every 5 minutes or so. We all can have a chance to be in the blank zone. I think we got the votes. Unless anybody has another comment, we're giving it to Avengers.
No, go for it.
I looked up at the top box and I was like, oh, I look cute and skinny. Oh, it's Kevin.
Never. All right. So next up on the docket.
Dark Quant.
What's that?
Dark Quant.
We've got Thor: The Dark World versus Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and the question is, which movie's cast seems like they never got along?
Thor: Dark World.
Thor: Dark World.
Yeah.
Sorry, and without as an apologist. That's
Eccleston just.
I was gonna say right off the bat, we know Chris Eccleston was bummed to be there.
Well, he also showed up, 18 hours before they put him into makeup. So.
Yeah. But you know what? I don't know. I'm a huge Quantumania apologist. First of all, Janet is the unsung hero of the Marvel Universe. She is the unsung hero of everything. There is not nearly enough Janet in this world.
Couldn't agree more.
He's a wasp apologist. He loves wasps.
I really do. And the only thing I love more than Wasp is in this phase, that is Jane. Jane was perfect. Jane is my Thor, pretty famously. My mom is a blonde lady named Jane. I can't help it. And I'm a mama's boy. But yeah, I don't know. Quantumania is a really great film. The cast seems like they got along. I really feel Paul Rudd's paternalness for his castmates. Yeah. I can't imagine Quantumania being a cast that didn't get along. So I'm going to give it to Thor, who I love Chris Eccleston in a lot of ways, but one of them is not what seems to be his general sense of camaraderie.
Or not taking himself too seriously.
And I can't really imagine Rene Russo or Anthony Hopkins was just like stoked.
No, Rene Russo is above reproach.
I can't see either of them doing the ants that Michael Douglas does.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think we know what the score is here, and
Shelley Fife reminds me of my mom. So
and thank you, Ali Galactic, for voting Thor.
We're unanimous on this one.
Yeah, it's the right choice.
We love a unanimous vote. So Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man number 2 in this one versus Spider-Man No Way Home. And the question is, which movie's cast would you like to see in an amalgam-style mashup movie with the DCU?
Spider-Man!
Yeah. I think it's funny that this one is both bugs.
Yeah, I know. It's bug on bug.
Bugs! Bugs!
The Bugverse.
Somewhere Jonah is mad that we're calling a spider a bug, but we'll
Evelyn is ready to explain it to us in her least well actually voice. Because she, for a science person, manages to never well actually.
That's
so
great.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Science with the social skills is so rare. Oh,
Ali's vote is in too, so I believe it is unanimous.
And I want to point out, Allie, you did say you loathe this movie, so that's just a sign of what I mean by your fandom is pure. You love the things you love with no
Stop.
trappings.
Wait till you see what she says. Because then at least something good would come of No Way Home.
Allie, you are the unofficial member of the X's for Show staff.
I
love a 2-part burn.
I love the idea of Doctor Strange and crazy criminal Ezra Miller meeting somewhere in the reality warping world.
Yeah, it's already got the foundation.
And that's how we get on this journey. So that's going to be a really fun movie. Look for it in theaters 2030. I will be directing.
Copyright.
Shortly. Okay.
Oh my god, so much Ant-Man all up front.
So
3, 2,
much
1.
Ant-Man. It's like the Iron Man movies. We're talking about Civil War versus the original Ant-Man. Which movie's cast would be more fun as your own personal friends? And the friends is capitalized, so you know what we're talking about.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Who would be your cast of friends? Like, who would be your na 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 na?
Am I in the cast or am I just watching?
Yes, I wrote the question, so you get to be your. You
choose which friend you are. Are you Rachel? Are you Phoebe? I feel like I'm a Phoebe.
I need to be real. I like anyone who knows me will.
Wait,
tell
you have to declare your other 5. You got to pick the other 5 characters in whatever movie you're doing.
That's hot. I'm in. Okay, I'm gonna pick Civil War because anybody who knows me knows that I think I am the magical girl lead of my own magical girl show.
Yeah.
Everyone who knows me knows this.
Yeah.
And I am Rachel then, who I really want to find a beautiful, intelligent, complicated, sexy Jewish man with a lot of academic credits and maybe a film studies thing going for him who wants to help me write an entire paper on the tragedy as a Greek man of the world's most recognizable Jewish woman being played by a Greek woman. I really want to talk extensively about Greek erasure and Jewish erasure and how I've had to explain to 30% of the people I know, Rachel Green is Jewish, and I've had to explain to 30% of the other people what Jewish is. So
that is the kindest words I've ever heard someone describe Ross in. That's the kindest.
First of all.
So I love Rachel. I love Rachel a lot. I think Jen Aniston is kind of complicated, but I really love Rachel. And I'm a Civil War lead. And my Ross is Cap. He's my Ross. And I think my Monica is Ant-Man, is Iron Man, because if you know my sister, you actually would understand how Tony Stark is very Julia. Very Julia. Ant-Man would be our Phoebe. Spider-Man would be our Joey. And Tosh would be our Chandler, because I think while she sure does love to do segments from Eddie Murphy Raw, Natalie is quite the funny actress in ScarJo.
Nat. I was like, who's Tosh? Are you getting Tori Amos confused again?
No, it's just in the comics, she's
Tasha, I know, but she's not
Tasha.
here. She's
And,
Nat.
She's Ivan calls her Tasha, Daredevil calls her Tasha. It's hard for me when they call her Nat. It's upsetting.
Nat.
I don't know anything about Friends except it's a sitcom about some friends. As long as you also add, Allie, that there's no black people on it, you know everything about Friends.
And the rents aren't realistic.
Neither
Rent control.
jobs.
Okay, so we got a clear Civil War vote. I think we're going to be here forever if everybody does their cast.
Yeah,
But we
I'm
got,
good.
kind of a quick
Aw.
one.
I don't have one anyway, so. If you have one, Tori, you can go, but I don't have one.
No,
But
I was actually sitting here I'm going to need to pull up a spreadsheet. It's fine. I'm going with Ant-Man because I'd rather be in a heist Friends than a drama Friends. I know.
No, it's our very own personal. God, there's not a lot of tertiary or secondary friends because he's not currently on the show.
Well, if I'm Phoebe, this is Paul Rudd.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for thinking. I was
yeah.
I could only come up with Tom Selleck, who is
Or Steve Zahn.
obviously one of the hottest men on the planet. So
Jake can also be Steve Zahn, the gay ice dancer.
Yeah, we've got my beautiful Paul Rudd here saying the exact thing that I just said in a better way, which is the apartments are too big.
Are you saying we didn't cast Paul Rudd as Paul Rudd?
Paul Rudd would be Paul Rudd if Ant-Man win. Oh no, either way, he's Paul Rudd.
He's just Paul Rudd.
Alfred Woodard's character just
Not if
has to
Ant-Man
come in
wins.
for anything. I don't care. She can play the landlord.
She actually is playing her character from First Contact.
Thank God.
Traveled back in time through the amalgam Doctor Strange Ezra Miller criminal meeting. And now
Blow up the ship!
And then she just looks at her son after he's throwing a pregnant lady down the stairs and goes,
I do love Desperate Housewives. I should really get back into that.
having watched every episode like a dozen times and every episode of Devious Maids, it is quite literally my favorite soap opera ever made. I think it is.
We just rewatched it. Bree rewatches very well
Perfectly.
10 years later.
We're going to
I'm
get
very
back to this
pleased.
later. Dr. Kimberly Shaw aside, we do have a bracket to get to. We've got two.
I'm sorry. I'm
We've got
sorry.
two
There's too much
Ant-Man votes
chaos.
right now, and one Civil War vote. Kevo, it's just you and me here.
Okay, but it sounds like Ali said Ant-Man.
That's
so-
I said that. So we've got
Yeah,
two.
I'm saying so. Like, yeah, this is getting serious.
Yeah, we got two Ant-Man votes. We got one Civil War vote. Kevo, where you at?
Civil War.
Okay, we got two. So, gosh, I'm breaking the tie now.
Oh.
Sorry.
Because she is anti-vax garbage, I have to
Fair.
disqualify Evangeline Lilly and Ant-Man, and so it goes to Civil War.
Cheers.
You always need a Janice.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh wow. I don't
I don't care
can't-
what it is, as long
whatever
as
the
it's
question
positive.
is.
Yeah.
So we're talking Avengers Endgame versus
Oh.
Werewolf by Night, and the question is, which movie are you more tired of?
You know what's really funny? I mentioned to you earlier
Mm-hmm.
that I suggested swapping in, even though it's not out yet, because we're coming up on the 15th anniversary of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I suggested, since we know a ton about it already, swapping in Guardians 3,
Yeah.
just based on our advanced perception. And that is probably the one I would have picked,
Right. Yep.
ironically, in that situation.
Yep.
All right. I'm so mad about this, but like, I guess I've watched Werewolf by Night twice. I've
Oh, no,
listened to this-
Oh,
I've
no,
Read
listened
it
to
back the
200
question again?
times.
Which film are you more tired of? I'm
gotta be-
so tired of Endgame.
It's got to be
So
Endgame,
tired
which I
of
can't
Yeah.
believe.
I
Yeah.
love
so
it so
tired.
much, but
I'm
man,
tired of
oh,
other
man.
people
Yeah,
Tired of other
with
people.
Endgame.
Endgame culture, and
Is
you
there a
know,
neither option? Allie wins.
yes, there's a neither option where we just skip it and it's all perfect. Endgame has to be a personal thing. Allie's votes for Werewolf on a coin flip technicality, which I love.
Whew.
You know, like the thing I'm most tired of is jabronis complaining about the A-Force scene.
Yeah, which I loved. And we
I love
brought
it
up the
so
picture
much.
of our print earlier.
If you think that there hasn't been a stupid ham-fisted heterosexual men don't hang out like this scene in like 20 different MCU movies, you are out of your mind.
If
Go ahead
you
and put it up,
are-
Kevin.
If you have a problem with the A-Force scene, I am well equipped to do some horribly toxic male things that'll just set that whole thing right. That scene is so perfect.
It's so
And
great. And
It's so great.
there should be
Ugh.
moments like that. There should be cheesy moments of people that don't get enough screen time and screen time together, getting that screen time in beautiful, iconic ways. If you don't like it, it is just because you are so used to it happening with the groups that you are used to that it means nothing to you for it to happen to others. But maybe it should.
Yeah.
I hate chuds that tear down. I agree. You know, there's really no benefit to like seeing that moment as anything but if a group says they need it. You know what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
whole sentence. If
Yeah.
a group says I need this, and
Or
you
if
see
they
it as
say it just
anything
made me
else,
so happy.
Thank you. What's so hard about tying into what
The-
a need is?
Only complaint I have about that moment is that there weren't more moments like that in the
Excellent
battle.
point.
I would have
Yep.
loved to see like all the bug people
Yep.
team up,
Yep.
or like et cetera, but like then it would have been a 4-hour movie.
Their one
And
brief
people would have
moment
complained it was
of
4
Pepper
hours.
and Tony just cycling around
Yeah.
each other, and it's so good because they're both in Iron Man suits, and of course they would work well together, and they're in love. So
She watched him do this so many times. So
Right.
yeah.
And that honestly, like, that's to me just as cheesy, because when would you wind up in that beautifully choreographed orbiting angle? But I don't care because it's fun. But the A-Force scene is about 1,000 times more fun. So I'm tired of people talking crap about it, and therefore Endgame, you unfortunately win this one. Werewolf by Night, you're a killer, baby.
Ooh.
So
Some
between
phase
Multiverse
4.
of Madness and Wakanda Forever, which movie is better for a long flight?
Oh, Wakanda Forever. That's great because it's long enough. Long flight. I'm glad I wrote that into the question, because if it had been if it had been a short flight, Multiverse of Madness, but if it's a long flight, it's got to be Wakanda Forever.
Mathematically.
Oh.
Allie agrees. Yeah.
Am I trying to fall asleep on this plane? Because
I think in that case I would still give it to Wakanda because it has a lot of very chill moments.
Oh, is that the cutest? Is that the cutest X's for show contributor, Robbie?
Oh, hi, Robbie.
Hey,
Robbie. Sorry, I'm gonna be the downside. I'm gonna say Multiverse of Madness because
That's okay.
I will sit and watch and be confused and have lots of time to think about it.
Okay. I think you are outvoted, but I feel where you're coming from. And I hope the flight is taking us all somewhere really nice.
I hope it's to see Allie Galactic so we can all like host some sort of amazing panel together.
Just kiki on all these different movies. I completely agree. So if we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok, the thing I want to know is, which movie would you rather see remade with a gender-swapped cast?
Guardians.
Oh, this is tough.
Don't be so sure. Think about gender swap Thor. We kind of already have her. So just like...
God, I don't know. This is just the age of trans heroes for me. So like, as long as they can be trans heroes...
Yeah, it doesn't matter how they're gender swapped. It can be in canon trans heroes. It can be, you know...
so as long as it's double trans heroes, I'm done. Like, I'm both of them. I actually think I have to go with...
So, I mean,
Allie
think
brought
about
up a
something
good
like
point.
we had Kitty Pryde be Star-Lord. So, you know, like we have options in terms of like we have a Lady Thor, we have Mighty Thor, Jane Foster. So we could do that, or we could do, you know, he was born Peter Quill, but now she is Petra Quill, and I'm down for any of the above.
I would obviously love to see gender swapped everything in this world. But for me, I would love to remove the reason I don't like Guardians more than I want to see Lady Loki. Let's be honest, and that's a big ask from me.
Yeah, it is. Robbie asked how we are doing, by the way, and I believe we are learning a lot about ourselves.
We really
in
are.
This game.
Ourselves,
We're putting this on the internet.
And the Marvels and Marvel Internets. Marvel Internets.
All right. I know it doesn't matter a whole lot, but I think my ultimate final vote is, I feel like there are more men to be made amazing women in a world where there are fewer amazing women in Thor
I see that.
There are the other way. So I have to vote Thor because I'm engaged in all of those amazing, beautiful women.
So we've got Hulk, and it's not She-Hulk. Hela, that's a very interesting one.
See, that's the thing. They both have two women, one that's with the gang and one that's without. So you're getting the same amount of there's dudes here.
So Guardians of the Galaxy, that's true, but then you're going to get more women later.
Are we talking about the whole thing?
No. I'm just saying, like, when you think about Thor Ragnarok and when you think about the Thor verse in general, we don't get really a lot of women gods and Asgardians. You know, the moves that you make here can have ramifications. Where in Guardian, I get Nico's point. I still think I vote Guardians because Drax as a woman would just be beautiful and terrifying. Groot as feminine presenting in some capacity, like a flowering tree.
What a fascinating thing to consider. I had not even thought of Groot because I think of Groot as so genderless.
Yeah,
But the idea that many people probably do see Groot as masculine.
because Vin Diesel plays him.
What a really great. Oh, I hope Lady Drax doesn't wear a shirt. As a pan man,
Yeah.
The idea of like a woman warrior with her breasts out, just
breasts hanging out. I could
celebrating
not
her
agree more.
strength.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be sexualizing her breasts. I'd be sexualizing her strength.
Yep.
Trans
I would want a different.
scars out.
What's that?
Trans Drax scars out.
Drax scars
Yeah.
out.
I'd want a different animal as Lady Rocket.
As
What do I want?
Blatant raccoon erasure. Okay.
Lady Badger. Yeah.
What are you trying to say? You really are putting this on the internet.
This is a honey badger.
And then Petra Quill. Yeah, originally I was going with Kitty Pryde, but the only way Kitty Pryde can get there is if she has the moment where she dates Peter Quill. So that's out.
Yeah.
It is a transgender woman,
it
Petra
is.
Quill. I love her.
Okay.
So I right now I know it's definitely 2.
Oh my God,
I
Bianca
think I've
Badger,
talked over
everything.
everybody else, but do we have any other votes for Guardians? Do we have any other
Ooh,
votes?
Bazooka Badger like Rocket Raccoon.
Kevo, come on, join us on Team Guardians.
Oh, I already voted Guardians. I'm on
Okay.
it. I'm with it.
So we've got our 3. Congratulations, Gender Swap Guardian cast. Anna Faris, congratulations on playing Petra Quill.
Oh yes.
Oh my God, she would be so good. I love
know
her.
she would be so good.
And another Friends reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right.
Oh.
So now we're talking Iron Man 3 versus the Avengers, and I gotta know, which movie didn't get a fair chance?
Oh, Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
It
like
was
actually
in
legit
the
didn't.
shadow of the Avengers.
Yeah.
I'm going to step away for 1 second. Don't move on to the next one without me. I'll be right back.
I absolutely will
but
not. I'll just
Iron Man
monologue
3.
about how Avengers got too fair a chance.
Yeah, definitely. Avengers. Gosh, was there a moment where it wasn't the darling, where it wasn't perfect, where it
Truly
wasn't
no.
everything?
Only when you added time
Yeah.
and more movies.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean-
other than that, yeah.
I'm the one who sat down to do her MCU ranking and had to put like 15 asterisks on Avengers because I was like, this would be higher, except everything that came after it because of it, etc.
So Allie says, people shit on that movie for the stupidest, most bad faith reasons, I swear to God. And I agree, except for one reason that I give it a really hard time that I think is a very good reason, which is that the protagonist was originally, is it Rebecca Ferguson?
Oh yeah, the villain.
Yes.
Hold on, I'll get
sorry,
that
the
for you, but
antagonist,
yeah.
not the protagonist. I want to make sure I get her name right because
I got it
she's-
for you. Hold on.
Thank you. She's such an incredible actor. The
going.
character is really, really good. I don't think Guy Ritchie is an incredible actor. I think there are great roles. for
Rebecca
Guy-
Hall as Maya Hansen.
Rebecca
Rebecca
Hall. Thank
Hall.
you. Just an incredibly good performance for like 3 seconds of screen time. That
And was supposed to be the villain.
she was supposed to be the villain. Like she
But it
was
was
just supposed to be
changed.
out and
Oh.
out, like a Mr. Sinister type, where she was like, I just want to do the science that I want to do, and I don't have ethics about it. Which is to me a great type of villain overall. But it's better when it's a woman because we have this like, well, women can't do evil science. That's not womanly. So
women can do any kind of evil they want. Let women be
and also
women.
put pepper in her bra.
support women's wrongs. That's the one reason I give that movie a hard time. We did not need Guy Ritchie chewing up scenery. That said, Iron Man 3 really did not get a fair chance, and I think some of the reasons we talked about early Phase 2 stuff really speak to that.
Yeah.
This is, I think, a unanimous one.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, between Thor Dark World and Spider-Man No Way Home, which movie is better for riling up the fanboys?
Ooh.
This is a tough one.
Riling up.
Riling them up.
Doesn't matter in what
Nope.
way.
Nope. However, if it's
No
going
Way
to be
Home.
because they're so angry that
gonna
it wasn't
be-
good, or if it's going to be because they think it wasn't comic accurate, whatever it is.
Oh, riled up also just means excited too,
Yeah.
though.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it just means like in a frenzy.
Sure.
Yeah. I would go with Spider-Man No Way Home as well, because I honestly think that unless Thor Dark World is brought up, fanboys won't get riled up
And-
anyway.
Yeah, Allie,
Whereas
it's your
they
call.
will come in with No Way Home. They
Bust
won't.
in. Oh
Yeah,
wait,
they're like
Spider-Man.
Yeah, they're like ready with
For
it.
better or for
whereas-
worse.
Yeah.
Okay,
whereas-
yeah, No Way Home.
Yep. I think I agree. Yeah, I was gonna take some time to define riling up, but I think we all know the problem is Thor: The Dark World actually isn't bad. It's just not. It's boring. Like it's not gonna rile anybody up because it doesn't do a lot that will make anybody have an opinion.
Yeah, they wouldn't
So-
want to argue.
Spider-Man: No Way Home does a lot that makes you have an opinion, and
It's an opinion-y movie.
Yes.
increasingly,
Yeah, it is.
I don't know that it's always a good one for me, but that's okay.
Oh, we're learning. We're learning things.
So next up, if we're talking about Captain America:
Wow.
Civil War versus Avengers: Endgame,
What
what
a
we gotta
header.
ask ourselves is, which movie would watch better Memento style?
Wait, is it Endgame or Infinity War?
It's Endgame.
Endgame.
Yeah, it's Endgame.
And when we say Memento style, do we mean the scenes have been chopped up so that you're
That's-
working backwards, or do you mean we don't know anything before it?
I
Chopped up.
mean chopped up. For me, chopped up, it has to be Civil War. And here's why.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Endgame works well non-sequentially, but I think if you open on Cap and Iron Man beating the piss out of each other,
Yeah.
it's more powerful than right after the intensity of Infinity War coming back with everyone just back. I got to give this one to Civil War in a surprise vote. And Allie Galactic, fan with the best brain, I cannot agree with you more.
Yeah,
I want to
I'd
throw
say the
out
same.
there that I would love a plot contrivance where Tony has shunted his memory into the Iron Man suit because he thinks it'll help him in some way, and then the suit breaks,
hmm
and that's why he's dealing with this.
I think
Mhm.
something that also really helps this Brack fight as well is that Civil War has a mystery to it.
Yeah.
And so that's something that would work well with the Memento style, whereas Endgame is just a very linear problem that we know exactly what it is,
Yeah.
and they're just figuring out how to plow through it.
Yeah. And I definitely think that the fact that Endgame has time travel to other spots in it would make a Memento style
that's a
viewing
bridge
very
too far.
confusing.
Friggin' chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be rough. So
A
yeah, no,
coven
I'm
of it.
also Civil War.
Okay, so if we're talking Wakanda Forever versus Guardians of the Galaxy, the question
What
is,
this gonna be?
which would make the better musical?
I hate to say it, it's
Oh.
Guardian.
Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy.
Guardian.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think it's
This is a
Wakanda
King
Forever.
musical.
Real. Do tell, TK. Do tell.
Opera.
I want to. Yes, because I would say opera. I would not say musical.
That's
Yeah.
fair. And it's really, really funny because I was asking Nico for questions and we were going back and forth and it was kind of getting up to the line for the show. So I started writing some myself. And the question that I wrote was which would make the better rock opera? And
So you know there's a distinction too.
yes, I do know there's a distinction, and I had written it before I saw Nico's, but I put musical in because I thought it was a little more broad. Okay, you guys make a good point. If we're talking musical versus opera, if we have the qualifier that Wakanda Forever would make a beautiful opera, then I am okay giving it to Guardians. Although Nico and Tori, I want to point out to you guys that like this would be a jukebox musical.
Nico's
Right.
the one with a problem with those.
Yeah, no, Tori's like, I don't know why you have to be so mean about so many people's completely valid art. You sound like
Oh,
such an
okay.
asshole sometimes. And I'm like,
Okay.
But I've also
I-
got a lot of deep feelings about jukebox that have
Sure.
evolved over the years, and so whatever. But I think Wakanda Forever actually wants to be August Osage County, but because it's so
Oh my
broad and has
God.
so much going on, like the grief part of it should be a thing and could be a thing. The
Black
rest
Osage
of it is
County?
everything else.
oh my God, a
I-
Black Osage County would be the most unbelievably, incredibly nuanced thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, but you
I
know,
also want to say
I'm not gonna say
we
the
are-
rest.
we are projecting that Guardians would be a jukebox musical. I don't think it necessarily has to be. I think it could be an original, just because the movie itself was so jukeboxy. It doesn't mean that original concept musical of it has to be as well.
Fair. I think it would be a tough sell given how hard they lean on that soundtrack.
I agree. It's the Moulin Rouge musical problem.
Right. So, which of these
Who,
two?
for those of you who don't know, they put other songs in there with the other ones, and it's like all of a sudden we're singing along to Pink in the middle of Moulin Rouge the musical. So
It's very confusing.
I just love how seriously you're taking backers for this Guardians musical.
We're ready. We're ready.
we're ready.
Guardians gonna
call
rock the
us.
house tonight.
Between Iron Man 3 and Spider-Man
Hard
No Way
place.
Home, which movie feels more miscast to you?
Oh.
I don't think
Great.
I can impeach the quality of the casting of Spider-Man and those kids. So I think I need to say that Guy Pearce feels
Guy Pearce. I kept saying Guy Ritchie. What's wrong with me?
feels not much
What's wrong with them?
stronger than a Greg Kinnear in the same role.
You know, I'm really sorry to say this, and people can hate me. I love this actor, but I don't feel that Don Cheadle is right for Rhodey. I'm sorry, I don't.
Ooh. I don't know enough about Rhodey beyond these movies, so okay.
It transforms Terrence Howard's Rhodey into a completely different character.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't feel Terrence Howard is right for Rhodey either, but there are, give me a Blair Underwood if we're going for an older, really handsome black man, but I don't think it's Don Cheadle.
God, man, Blair Underwood, what a fucking out of this world beautiful man who has aged like a perfect wine. Ugh.
Yeah. We're all on the same page. It's Iron Man 3.
It's Iron Man 3 but this is for me a very unfortunate one. But
Yeah.
I cannot the iconography that's in Spider-Man No Way Home you can't take that away, I think, to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you got to play the cards you're dealt.
It's
So
the
it
game.
goes. Kill your darlings.
Okay, so Civil War versus Guardians of the Galaxy. Kevo, you mentioned this before. Which is the better movie for a Netflix and chill?
Guardians.
Yeah, probably.
I'm gonna go with Guardians, but like if I don't know them. If I do know them, Civil
Yeah,
War
okay.
kind of up there.
Okay.
But I also
I'm
wouldn't
with-
want it to ruin it. I wouldn't want to stop watching. So
That's funny.
I think we're all on the same page as Guardians.
yep.
Really funny.
I completely agree. It is too
Too
paranoid, Allie.
Yep. Yeah, you're going to start to suspect
Yeah,
the person next
that's
to you.
really true.
And then,
But that's the
A
fun of it.
lot of hotties, though.
All the
love is a
hotties.
battlefield.
Basically,
Literally.
Avengers.
Hey guys, if we're talking about Iron Man 3 or Guardians of the Galaxy, which movie would you rather be in?
Oh.
Guardians, because Guardians feels like a space adventure. You know, when you ask me what movie you ask me what Star Trek I want to be part of, my Star Trek is Deep Space Nine. When you ask me what captain I want to be, to see the world through the eyes of, I want to be Pike. When you ask me what captain I want to serve under, it's Burnham. And so my emotional speed is Guardians would be the better romp.
I think in Guardians, I'm more likely to end up dead. So I'm gonna go Iron Man 3.
But Nico really sold me on it, because that was also my thought. But I think it's more that in the Guardians world, I would be more likely to end up dead. But that's not even the question. The question is, you are a part of this movie. And I feel like, what part of Iron Man 3 would you really play? You'd be a kidnapping victim.
That's true. That's true.
But you could be one of the Guardians.
We got 3 votes for Guardians, so For me, I do think it's Iron Man because while Kevo is right that like that's my most likely role, I'm Mary suing it, and I somehow get a suit, and the artificial AI and the artificial intelligence in it bonds with me, and we become
you'd
best
be
friends.
Rhodey. I'd be Pepper.
Yeah,
So,
I was like,
that's
I'm a
what it
Pepper.
is.
I'm a Pepper
gets
too.
the greatest goddamn suit of all
That is-
time when she's Hela,
Yeah.
and then when she's rescued.
Yeah.
Pepper has 2 brilliant suits, and Pepper is 10 times the superhero any number of people has ever been. So
Oh
as
shit! I
somebody
put
married
Iron
to
Man
a
in its
Pepper,
Guardians.
I will kick
Oh wow.
anybody to protect that Peppers make the best heroes.
Does it let you go backwards?
It doesn't, but I will save our place.
Okay.
I know how to adjust it accordingly.
Okay.
Okay, so if we're talking about Iron Man versus the Hulk, which would make a better TV show?
Bum, 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 bum,
I think the Hulk.
bum, bum, bum,
I
bum,
actually agree.
The nature of Hulk's ongoing serial.
bum, 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 bum. I'm doing
It
the
does
sad walking
feel-
away music.
And actually, this is like it's the only award that Hulk will ever win. But
I too agree. I think that actually Hulk would have been if they were doing Disney Plus series back then, it would have been one of those. I think it's something that would require more investment into the characters to have a better payoff.
Well, I'm voting with Ali Galactic, and I am going Iron Man. I get where like dramatic and emotional payoff for Hulk would have been exciting, but I also think just seeing Iron Man zipping around zapping things would have been really fun to watch weekly too.
I think it would have
And-
been a lot of fun if they could afford it.
If they
Yeah.
could afford it.
I see Hulk's budget being more realistic for better television. And as the tiebreaker vote, I'm saying Hulk.
Sure.
That's why it was a TV show for a while.
All right. In the war between Black Panther and Avengers Age of Ultron, the question I want to know is, which movie would you like to see remade with only practical effects?
Oh, Black Panther.
Age of
think-
Ultron.
I think
It'd be funnier. It'd be funnier. Which one could do it? Black Panther.
No. The
Yeah.
question is, which would you like to see?
Black Panther.
Age of Ultron.
I'm with Tori. It's Age of Ultron.
I am going to also say Black Panther specifically. Like, I'm answering realistically, not like which one would I find hysterical. I obviously would find Age of Ultron much more hysterical, but in terms of which would I want to see done creatively, artistically as a movie, I would also go with Black Panther.
Ali Galactic says, I want to see Puppet Ultrons. Does that mean, Ali, that you are our tie-breaking vote with Age of Ultron?
Yes.
I'm
Join
also
our
just
side.
saying that The Big Lebowski is actually a movie that I love very dearly. And I used to watch it with the owner of the comic shop I worked at. We would just get high and watch it on repeat during the workday. And I have nothing but incredibly, really wonderful feelings of Chris and Big
That's
Lebowski is
beautiful,
a good
Nico.
movie.
Nice.
All right. Age of Ultron with puppets. I am so excited for this
So
film.
amped. Nico will never see it.
All right. If we're talking
No,
about...
I'm actually I'm just gonna put this on the internet. I am pathologically projectilely vomit afraid of marionette. I'm thinking about them. Sorry. I am like get panicked afraid of marionettes, and it's just good to talk about sometimes. But yeah, I'm scared of puppets.
Your boy don't like puppets.
Anti. Very
Marionettes.
anti.
Other puppets are fine.
Other
Yeah,
puppets are fine,
Muppets
but
are
I am
good.
Literally,
Muppets are
all
good.
puppets are fine. Just not.
I am real
creepy
afraid
is
of
bad.
marionettes. It's really
And
weird.
marionettes specifically, yeah.
Big fucking muscle dude, and I'm just like so afraid of fucking marionettes. Next category.
Next category. Between Thor and Doctor Strange, which movie would make for a better fictional behind-the-scenes film?
Fictional behind the
So, like,
scenes
it's a
film.
fictional movie about how
Like
they
mockumentary.
made...
Yeah, a mockumentary of how they made it.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be Doctor Strange. Oh God, I don't know. It depends on how seriously they perform it. If Thor is like, if Chris Hemsworth is like, because that's the magic, and like, you know, if Benedict Cumberbatch is like, and that's when I do this with the thingy, and they do the thing, and it's magic. I guess. Do I want to see Rachel McAdams crack wise or Natalie Portman?
Natalie Portman.
I actually think that Natalie Portman is like, and Teak, I'm so sorry, dude, because I am like crazy in love with you, but I think Natalie Portman is like actually the perfect woman.
I gotta go. Somebody else can finish the show.
Wow, that is a strong statement.
I'd marry her.
Very
I wouldn't even think twice.
Statement.
I'd marry her.
That is,
I would. She
wow.
would like. I cannot think of anybody.
I would go to your wedding.
It's her, Julie Andrews, and Nelly Furtado that I think make the perfect mother for my children, and I would make the perfect father for their children. It's not like a paternal thing. It's like I want to be part of making them beautiful children as well. I just think that Natalie Portman is perfect, like literally.
I do think she's very funny, and I think she would be hilarious in a mockumentary about the making of Thor. I've got a vote there, and I see Allie has a vote for Thor. So
yeah,
we are at 3.
I'm in on Thor because I think more people would have fun, and also I'm pretty sure there was mild drama on the Thor set, whereas I feel like Doctor Strange would just be a bunch of one people shots with a green screen.
But here's the one thing I will say: Tilda Swinton.
I know.
But I still think it's Thor, but Tilda Swinton.
And they could have done a lot of like PR betterment if they did this.
No.
I would really like to see either Stellan Skarsgård or Benedict Wong from behind standing at a urinal being like, "Are you really filming this?" And like, that would be my outtake. I guess I just said a lot about myself. Please move on.
It's a brilliant scene, Nico. Thank you. So if we're talking Captain Marvel or Captain America, which one is this?
First Avenger?
This is First Avenger, okay. The question is, which movie tells the less moral story?
I think you get superpowers if you do steroids is
the less moral story.
As a guy who is pretty pro steroids, I think it is the less moral story between serving your country and getting blasted full of energy while trying to be a good soldier.
Also,
whoa, that's the exact same story in both of them, though.
Broadly, Nazi equal entertaining also is I don't love so much. I'm sort of bummed that I keep having to level up my 5-star or my 4-star Red Skull Nazi champion in Contest of Champions.
Steve elected to be dosed with the chemicals, whereas Carol didn't ask for any of that, and I think that is the difference. Because, they were both blasted with their powers, but, So, I agree. Captain America is less moral.
Also, if you just figure out how to get hot, you will get the girl versus no love story.
No love story. Or lesbian undertones.
Or lesbian undertones. Fingers crossed. Come on.
It's actually a crime in 17 states still in the United States. I was just looking it up on my phone. It's a crime in 17 states to have oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. I had a whole joke set up. It's the man I'm in love with. What's the man I'm in love with, Kevy? Erskine?
Yeah. Oh, Stanley Tucci.
Thank you. It's a crime to have Stanley Tucci in a movie and not have him be the most attractive person.
Wow, Nico. It took a while to get us there.
I gotta go.
All right.
Because toothpick grenade, yes.
This one goes to Cap. If we're talking about Spider-Man Far From Home versus Shang-Chi, which movie would be more fun as a parody?
Spider-Man Far From Home, because I think Shang-Chi would automatically get racist.
Yeah. That is true.
What was it again?
Which movie would be more fun as a parody? So here's my thing. Shang-Chi, because we don't have enough Asian lead characters, period, Asian superheroes, in a broader context, losing the film would be really rough. if we assume a world in which the film still exists, we're just also doing a parody. And I like to think that everybody, if this movie's getting made, is in on it. I think Shang-Chi would be really funny. It pulled in the most beautiful ways from some of the tropes and conventions of kung fu films and, fantasy films, martial arts fantasy films. I think pulling from those same sources for comedy would result in something, that could also like ape the way Tarantino really shamelessly stole from those genres. I think it would be really, really funny. So my vote's for Shang-Chi.
But then for me on that token, I would rather see, and it's really helpful that it is specifically Spider-Man Far From Home, so it is the European one.
Yeah.
And so I would really love to see on a similar tone, a parody of like 1960s and 70s, odd, artsy. Yeah, Tori's even doing, you know exactly what weird little girl from Ipanema music type movie I'm talking about. There's this SNL sketch that I love that's Jennifer Lawrence, where it's like Danielle, the free modern European woman, and like it's so perfectly parodying all those weird Euro movies from back then, and I would effing love that. And I think Jake Gyllenhaal also would play very well in that specifically.
Oh, he had such a good time.
Oh my god! So even the cast that already exists, I think, would be perfect for it. So
that's 2 for Spider-Man, 1 for Shang-Chi. Tori, Allie, would you like to complete this for us?
National Lampoon Spider-Man's Euro Trip.
I'm also on the Spider-Man.
Okay, so I'm all alone here on the island of Shang-Chi. Thanks, everybody.
I love what you're pitching.
I do.
I just want
also
this
agree.
one more.
That's
because
okay.
It's true. Like I had the moment where I was like, oh yeah, I want like the all wires, like slow-mo bad kung fu movie. But then I was like, but I don't want that for him.
I get you. All right. So if we're talking Guardians 2 or Spider-Man Homecoming, which movie is better for a hangover?
Guardians 2.
Really?
I disagree.
I don't think any Spider-Man movie is good for a hangover. They're all just a little too explosive, but James Gunn likes his slow moments. James Gunn likes to like slow us down and remind us stuff's good.
If I am feeling sick to my stomach and about to throw up, the last thing I want to do is watch Chris Pratt be a leading man.
Throwing an energy ball with his dad.
Yeah. So for me, it's Spider-Man, but Ali Galactic has thrown her ticket in for Guardians 2, so that's 2 for Guardians, 1 for Spider-Man. Tori, Kevo, take us home.
When I'm ill, I want comfort food, so I'm gonna go with Spider-Man.
Okay, Kevo tiebreaker.
Yeah. I'm also gonna go with the web slinger here.
Sorry, Nico, you outvoted.
Well, me and Allie, we die on this hill together.
You are
You're gonna have your
creatures
hangovers
of
with Allie
exquisite
now.
taste.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Eternals versus Thor: Love and Thunder. Category is... Which is the better movie for a grandma? Unequivocally, Eternals.
My grandma.
My nana rode a motorcycle.
You
so
got to
for my
average
nana,
out.
it's
You
Love
got to
and Thunder.
average out the grandma. Nico, you wrote this question.
Well, I didn't realize it was about my nana.
It's about a grandma. It is about the universal constant concept of a grandma. You got to average out. Your motorcycle riding grandma cannot be the one and only. Find a balance and choose for the balanced grandma.
Fine, Eternals. Jesus.
No, I am actually going to go Thor: Love and Thunder for a few factors.
All right, let's go.
On.
I'm not going Nico's. She did not ride a motorcycle. What the? No.
Nana did.
She was what? Did she? Well, she was wild either way. So like, I'm not. She also had an oxygen tank for a really long time.
Well, after
So
the
she
That
was
could
a
go
lot of
on the
things.
motorcycle. It has
Emphysema.
wheels.
She was a lot of things, but more specifically, I'm going for the idea of grandmothers.
Yeah.
And I feel like Eternals is getting banked on mostly for the qualifier of boring and slow. But I think a grandmother would be like, what the fuck am I watching? Who are these people? Why is this movie so long? I don't know any of these celebrities. What's the story here? Whereas Thor Love and Thunder is very on the surface. It's very short. It has a lot of celebrities that she'll know. It has a lot of music that she'll know. I think a grandparent-aged person would have a lot less complaints about Thor Love and Thunder at the end of the day. It's got a story about cancer that really pulls on your heartstrings, parenthood, kids. There's so many more things in Thor Love and Thunder the
Kevo,
more I
this is a
think about
solid
it than there is
argument right here.
Eternals.
This
This
is
is a
this
very
is
solid
an
argument.
excellent argument.
And for
And
all
I
of your
really-
grand people, there's none of those weird ethnic minorities to deal with.
So I
And
was
if
going to
you're
get into that.
If you're postmenopausal, horny, Chris Hemsworth might really do
Yeah.
it for you. Wow, Kevo,
Yeah,
listen,
I'm-
I rarely change my vote after declaring it, but
We finally started Andor, and the thing that I said today that I finally realized that it clinched it for me is, Andor is an AMC show. Andor is trying to be Star Wars as an AMC show, and that's what
Oh.
Eternals I think is. So
Yeah.
for it being an AMC movie, yeah, I get old people would be into it, but yeah.
okay. I mean, I'm in. What do we got?
Good for Allie sticking to her guns, though.
Yeah, really, truly.
I
get it.
appreciate it, Allie. I mean, like I was with you. I think it's a beautiful movie. I see how it is cinematic and beautiful in a way that I hope that somebody who's a little older and maybe challenged by the hard action of a comic book movie might see this and see it as just kind of a grand, beautiful feature. But that's like a really big hope that might not all pan out. Kevo has given me some real quality reasons why I would believe that Thor should pan out. So
If only Thor were Pan.
Yeah, I also, my gut instinct said Eternals, but then I was actually thinking about the fact of, we're going to go with my grandmother because she is the generic, like, little lady.
Which grandmother?
My father's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And she's a classic little Italian lady. And number one is, what do you mean they're gods? Number two, because she's like, there's one God. Don't screw this
Yeah.
up. Number two is, aren't they a family? Why aren't they being nice to each other? And then there'd be a little bit of that racism right in there of and confusion about what are they talking about? What is happening? I don't understand these accents. Blah,
how
blah,
is
blah.
Kumail Nanjiani family with the rest of these people?
Right.
This, Allie, your grandmother would be my father.
Mhm.
My father tries to indicate that he's awake by shaking his feet while watching a movie. That's how you know my dad's awake. He's actually just spasming in his sleep, but he really wants you to. Yeah, exactly, Kevo. This.
Yep. I will actually say that I actually think that the first Thor is the best movie for grandmas.
I like it.
Very
Lana
PBS.
Walker
Very
again.
PBS.
Yeah.
So if we're talking Black Widow versus Iron Man 2, which is the better movie for non-comic book fans?
Black Widow.
I think Black Widow as
Black
well,
Widow.
Kevo.
Non-comic book fans.
Yep. Tori, you're the one. You already sold me on this because of the thing you were saying about Winter Soldier being just a good spy movie.
Black Widow.
I think it is Black Widow. I think Iron Man 2 is more enjoyable for a non-comic reader, but I don't think they'd get it.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd be like, I buy in. I think that Black
I think
Widow
Whiplash is a tough villain. Even if it's a fun movie for non-comic people,
Yeah.
Whiplash is a comic book villain that is then also kind of poorly adapted. So if you're a non-comic book person, you're like, what the fuck is Mickey Rourke doing
Yeah,
today?
yeah, and we
But-
can all get behind punching
This is
Russians.
bored.
But like,
Exactly.
if you're like a weapons manufacturer, I think Iron Man 2 would be right up your
sure.
alley.
You're this very specific industry.
That's the
You
blueprint.
say that, but there's a lot of weapons manufacturers out there.
Guys, this stream is. I'm not complaining. I'm having a great time. This is easily the most fun I've ever had on a stream.
But we gotta go.
No, I don't care.
I'm moving
we've
us
done
through it. Don't worry.
5 beers. I can't believe I've gone through five
Wow.
Corona Lights. I'm
Wow.
Wow, this is like a pandemic all over again.
Okay.
Let's do this.
So if it's Hulk versus Avengers Age of Ultron, which is the better movie for falling asleep to? Hulk.
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 I have fallen asleep to Hulk.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
I
You have to.
It
Also,
takes a while to get there.
and I want to say again, I really cannot believe that Hulk is only 112 minutes, especially because the Craig Armstrong soundtrack is 2 discs.
Yeah.
And it got a really beautiful record release. Also, I agree, Ali Galactic. It's got to be Hulk.
We're
Yeah.
all on board with Hulk.
Tori's so into it, she's choking, so it's the last thing
She's
she
choked
ever
up.
thinks.
All right. If it's Thor or Captain America, which is the better movie for a stoner night? Oh, this is very obvious.
I
Thor.
heard you say Cats in America.
Or the cats
And
in
now that is
America. Meow,
what
meow,
I'm
meow,
calling
the
this
cats.
movie. No, from Five Goes West. No, it's
Oh,
the first one. There are no
cats
in America.
and the streets are
That's going to
paved
be a lie soon. New York City has a rat czar now.
As a full-time professional happy stoner man who is 1/3 peanut butter, 1/3 weed, and 1/3 impure thoughts for sexy butts, I am gonna have to say, expert opinion, Thor. There's something about maybe I'm just really attracted to Natalie Portman and Stellan Skarsgård, but there's something about the people in that film that if you're high,
didn't
they're
you
the
say
friendly
Idris
faces you want to
Elba?
see.
And I think Ali said it too. It's so serious.
Captain America is more serious. Also, Captain America is you hit a lot of war in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And someone
again,
pulls their
Nazis.
face off while you're
Cannabis and
paranoid.
Nazis don't mix.
You don't-
No.
You don't
Those
need any of that.
boobs, man.
Yeah, you need Darcy. You need rainbow moments.
Yeah,
you
you need
need
silly.
Loki making you go what?
It's a battle of the Speedamans.
Also, I get to go, Heimdall, open the Bifrost.
That'll work.
Which movie would drive you insane faster if you kept it on a loop?
I love this question. I'm so stupid.
You
Spider-Man
are
2
very
versus
stupid.
Spider-Man 1.
2.
Two.
I think it's 2.
I think if
'cause-
you have to see Jake Gyllenhaal go, look at this reveal that many times,
Yeah.
it's just gonna break you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was an easy one.
Nah.
Sorry, Allie, we love you.
Did she say Homecoming?
Yeah, no.
Wow.
No.
I don't see her vote yet. It just hasn't popped.
No, she agreed.
Okay. My
Yeah.
for whatever reason, my comments are popping up like a full minute after they're appearing on the screen even. So
It
like
happens.
I'm just a little behind.
That's
All
okay.
right.
So between Love and Thunder and Black Widow, which movie could be deleted from its phase more easily?
Oh, Black Widow.
Black
fine.
Widow.
Wait,
It was
deleted from its
literally-
phase so it never happens, or deleted from its phase to be elsewhere?
No,
My-
deleted from its phase.
My essential thought was you could delete it from its phase and still kind of talk about the stuff.
Yeah,
Black Widow, it really could be deleted from the phase.
especially like Yelena
Yeah, this
Belova
is
shows
both.
up in Hawkeye and says everything that you need to know.
Right, but then
Yeah.
what does
I'm
Thor
actually-
contribute to this phase?
I'm actually
That-
very much of the opinion that Thor starts from the same place it ended, except there's a different he's got a little girl. Like, that's it.
Yeah, kind of.
I think what you see with the gods is going to have some real effect that can't have happened anywhere else, and I think it's possible that love will be really important. It's entirely possible she won't be, but my guess is that they wouldn't set that up if she wasn't going to be, maybe a young Avenger.
And speaking of love, anybody who wants to know a little bit more of the kind of stuff we'll be covering, I'm telling you right now, the minute season 5 drops, we are literally launching into an all-night, non-stop live stream.
Okay,
for
I'm
You
into
season
that.
5.
Did they
I'll do
announce
it.
it?
Yes,
Did
It's gonna happen.
they've
Final
announced
season.
new season 5 final season. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely coming.
Yep.
I'll watch that on live stream. That's one that I would do. I think that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna vote Thor: Love and Thunder as the one that I would cut, mostly because I hear what you're saying about love potentially being important and all these things, but it hasn't happened yet.
Sure.
and I don't want to bank on what we don't know anything about yet. We don't even know if we're ever going to see Thor again right now.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth is like still on genial terms with the company, but we don't know what plans they have. Whereas we know there's more Yelena. So I would rather cut Thor.
Same.
Okay, so that's 2 for Black Widow and 2 for Thor.
Who hasn't voted?
Oh wait, maybe it's 1 for Black Widow and 2 for.
It's Nico for Black Widow and Ali Galactic for Black Widow.
Oh no, okay, it's 3 because I'm for Black Widow as well.
3.
Okay.
So
We
it
tried.
goes. We tried hard. This was a tough one.
It's Nat's fate to fall.
Oh.
All right,
Oh
between
wow, Natalie beat Natalie.
between Hulk and Thor, which movie misses the point more? Come on.
Thor. Unequivocally, Thor.
Yeah.
What do you think is the point?
The point of Thor should be that he realizes that he doesn't know anything and his whole life should be about learning forever. And instead, at the end of Thor, he realizes he knows enough for now.
He wants a girlfriend. Yeah.
I even get your point, Ali. I really do understand. I think the argument for Hulk or Thor exists, but like I'm such a fucking Thor faggot, and like
Hulk gets the point. It's just not done well. Like it's.
and I'm really
I think-
attracted to Ed Norton. I'm so sorry.
You
And I
should
think
be.
Thor even gets the point at points, and there's ways in which it gets points. But then, if we want to stack them up, which gets the point better or more,
Yeah.
Hulk lands it better. So
I think
Thor
you're
is
right.
what I would say.
Also, the point is always Liv Tyler. So
Oh my god.
question answered.
I just see the
Welcome
DVD
back.
cover of Reality of Empire Records, and I get so happy.
Most famous graduate
Say no more.
who did not graduate from my the little private school I went to up here in Maine.
Say no more, Monomore.
Hulk is literally King Kong versus Godzilla with Hulk and Hulkier Hulk. If I may, that's so funny because it's Universal who make the monster
Yes,
films.
who makes
so
the
it
monster
really
movies.
They
is
are.
like the company who knows how to do that, saying we don't know how to
Flash
do
this up.
anything else. Ali, that is like the point of that is like unofficial
Yeah.
X's for that point.
Yep. So between Far From Home and Black Widow, which movie feels more seasonal?
What the fuck was I thinking?
I truly
Okay.
don't know, Nico. I
Like
didn't have time to edit these.
Christmassy, like
No, seasonal. So
Just-
Far Way Home, because Far Way Home is a summer movie.
Done. Okay, Kevin, because I don't, you know what? And Black Widow, it's the Cold War, but it's not the cold winter. Far From Home. I
Yeah.
agree.
You
That's
could
gotta be Far
argue
From Home.
season like weather, but yeah.
I'm gonna go
I
with
know,
Spider-Man
Robbie. I'm
Far
so
From
sorry.
Home.
I did not mean to disappoint your giant lips, Robbie. I'm sorry.
That's the fun of the game. It's all about it's
It's
figuring out
garbage
the
questions for
interpretation.
garbage people.
Garbage
Wow.
questions for garbage people. Yeah.
So Thor, between
We hate
Thor
garbage because we
and
are garbage.
Spider-Man Far From Home, which movie would have been better one phase later?
Thor.
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 You would have had Thor come after Avengers?
I
Yeah.
would have made the first Thor movie not be. I could have done Loki's origin in Avengers in a meaningful way and not gotten the first Thor solo film till phase 2.
Yep.
But I don't know that I could have skipped a phase for Spider-Man without losing the energy of Tommy Holly.
I have to say, there's an irony though to the fact that Far From Home sits at the very end of phase 3. So it could just be the start of phase 4, and that would be the same thing as being a phase later.
Because he's in.
It does
Yeah.
to me that
Yeah.
phase 3
Okay.
is 11 movies.
Kevy's
Although
right.
I guess
I have to change my vote. It's Spider-Man. Kevy's right.
Yeah.
no, I just finally fell in love with the fact that phase 3 is 11 movies because it took 11 years for the Infinity Saga to build.
Mine
Ah.
is still Thor,
That took
but
4
I
years.
think I just got outvoted because I think that's 3 for Spider-Man.
Yeah, you just got outvoted, sucker.
Wait, what was the question again? I
You just
forgot.
got
I'm tired.
jerseyed.
I can't tell you. No, I'm kidding. Which
Which-
movie would have been better a phase later?
Thor. No, I'm still voting. I'm voting Thor though.
Oh, geez. After all that. Okay, so
I know. I'm chaos.
we're 2 and 2. Okay, no, that's 3. Ali votes Spider-Man, so that is 3.
We tried.
And now I'm interested to see what it does when I accidentally deleted the movie in the other slot. Let's find out. Yeah, okay. So between Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man Far From Home, which would be the better movie to be the basis for a drinking game?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians.
You can, if you try to drink every time there's a punchline, you have alcohol poisoning. Goodbye.
Oh my god, you're killing me.
Yeah.
I think it's just got to be Guardians.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and Allie's with us, so no matter what, we win. But I'd love to know your guys' opinion as the descending vote.
I'm trying to think here because I'm trying to figure out what the drinking game is. I left this question open ended because it could be every time Tom Holland goes whoa.
I drink every time Rocket steals something.
There you go.
He just stole your liver.
I still think it's Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there's anything like that kind of fun about Spider-Man.
You could drink every time Ned is adorable, but that's like...
Here's the thing. Ned creeps me out because they keep guaranteeing me he's going to be Hobgoblin.
Yeah, the Ned Leeds
And
connection
he won't
is not
be.
great.
I don't know,
So
man.
then why are they even doing any of it?
Why do they keep saying it? So he just really creeps me out all the time.
All right,
Yeah.
well, it sounds like we have a winner.
We sure do. Guardians of the Galaxy won this wild card, which means absolutely nothing, but that it survived a lot of random scrutiny in being preferred over other things and categories that sometimes weren't even good. Sometimes it's a bad thing that it won. But that's how the wild card works. And so just remember, Anna Faris as Petra Quill would be
dream.
truly
Yeah.
an iconic character.
And it's very fun timing that that's the next movie that's coming out as a Guardians one. So.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
welcome for the promotion, Marvel. Send
Yeah.
a check.
Cut it.
I want to thank Ali Galactic for playing along with that game so hard.
Thank you so much,
And
Allie.
For longtime X's for Show collaborator and contributor Robbie for playing along as well. Can't get enough of either of these amazing voices and their phenomenal perspectives being brought to the game and to the voice of fandom in general. And I am so thrilled to be surrounded by this group of incredible people. Next weekend, we have up on Saturday, Power Rangers Once and Always and Jury Duty. So that's a streamer Saturday. And then we have Sci-Fi Star Sunday with Picard and Mandalorian third season finales, saying goodbye to those shows for a little while, if not forever. And then we'll, of course, be relaunching. We're going to be taking a look at Tears of the Kingdom when that drops, Final Fantasy 16, the Final Fantasy Switch 2D Pixel remasters, which drop on the 19th. I'm going to obsessively talk about Theatrhythm Final Bar Line. Because
We're also
it
going
is
to be taking a look
literally-
at Sins of Sinister. Don't forget
that too. Comics.
Yeah, we do still cover comics. Worry not, friends. As well as, of course, our Wednesday coverage of new recently released books.
And as far as recent content this weekend, we did a lot.
Oh yeah,
Did
we
so
did.
much.
Well, and
On
Monday we
Friday.
had the Jason Lowe interview.
There's a lot of stuff, folks. Go check our back catalog. We're having all kinds of fun. There's usually a bracket in the mix. We might do a tier list sometime soon. Deal Breakers is going to happen any day now. We got a lot going.
And shortcuts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm just gonna bring it up because I'm crazy proud, not because I did it, but because I got to be part of it. The unbelievable Young Men in Love anthology winning a GLAAD award, meaning I get to be recipient of a GLAAD award. What an unbelievable honor, and it really goes to Joe Glass, the mastermind behind the program, the unbelievable Matt Miner, and the incredible Tyler Chin. Really brilliant creators who made this thing happen. My unbelievable partner, Judas Vegans, who is a genius. I'm so lucky, so grateful. And also, just a side note, I also make Kid Riot with 2 of the soon-to-be 3 of the people below me, which
I just
is
made a thing.
yeah, which funny enough, so Kid Riot, not just the amazing story of Kid Riot, but also features Riot Diva, the unbelievable trans superwoman. And we were just saying how much we would love it if Sasha Colby, the winner of Drag Race, would be ever able to play her. And so we are just so excited. And it's a good time. And anyway, enough about me. I want to know where everybody in the world can find you incredible people, so that everybody can know where to find you on the interwebs.
I want to take a moment before I close out of the Kid Riot board. When I was making this earlier, I was falling in love again with the lines and colors on one of our titles, Capes and Boots, which is about newscasters in our
I'm sorry, Tori, did you draw that?
Maybe.
So gorgeous.
Yeah, but Kevo really took it to the nth level. It's such a joy. It's such a joy, and I can't wait to.
That was Mr. T.
Oh, it's Mr. Taryn.
That was Mr. Taryn and Gleema's
right.
colors, actually.
He just colors so infrequently. Like, he's such a line artist.
He just started that.
And it's part of why I'm able to be in love with this one, because I'm like, these aren't my colors, and they're so warm, and he did an amazing job.
He did such a great job of combining like the brightness with also like the noirish feel that we have the whole time.
And then, of course, the BC. Got that for you here.
Billy Club, where me and that gorgeous creature talk about Daredevil.
Yeah. Oh, we
more
have
amazing
so much
content.
I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Tori, where can everybody find you?
You can find me, and I'm going to say it right this time, on Twitter at Tori_Sheehan, and on Instagram at SMTori, it's Tori with an I, and of course at the Billy Club Pod on all your socials. TK, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at xNateXGrayX.
Nice.
All right, TK, who goes next?
Kevo goes next.
I go next. I'm the guy who pushes the buttons. I go first. Thank you very much. I love that other people can still be heard, though.
I love the megalomania.
I love when I get drunk with power, because it means nothing. I'm just fuming. And you can find me on the socials ostensibly at Kevoreally, KEVOREALLY. Did I get that right?
Yes.
We've been going so hard. This has been such a fun broadcast, guys.
As I was recording Goddess last night, I was like having so much trouble. GODDES.
How do you spell?
So then Nico, boss man, go ahead and show us how it's done, because I know that you have your whole shtick down rote, where anytime I hear you say your name, I expect you to immediately start saying what your social is.
Hey, everybody, and as always, you guys can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION. And until next time.
And there's also that, though.
Such an unbelievable 3.5 hours, and so many of you hanging with us all night. What an honor. An honor. It's like, it's a true pleasure. Thank you. And I couldn't be more grateful than this opportunity to share this all with all of you. And until next time, keep those doorways open. Keep those lights lit. Don't forget, it is always an enormous amount of fun in the MCU, even when you are trying to figure out which movie would drive you more insane on a plane. And until next time, we'll see you. And Allie, real treat is you.
Allie.
You're the real treat.
Well, and see you later.
And Robbie.
We'll see you later. I love that. You're the best.